Chapter 1161. The Mysterious and the Ancient Tree. Change of devouring fire. On the more powerful methods of controlling and absorbing the fire element. With this ability, I can control even more powerful flames, far beyond the polar sky level, just like the flame giant and flame giant bird. Yi-chun realized the true content of the mysteries of fire, feeling extreme joy in his heart. Yi-chun had been preparing for the cultivation at the Sovereign, Divine Master, and Overlord levels, and now, this change of devouring fire once again laid out a path for his continued cultivation. This, of course, made Yi-chun extraordinarily delighted. However, after the surprise, Yi-chun also fell into contemplation. In the past, I entered one death space after another, and in my mind, I gained various mysterious insights. Among these insights related to fire, after 18 accumulations, it finally fully revealed itself, allowing me to obtain the mastery of change of devouring fire. So, can the other kinds of mysterious insights in my mind also reveal themselves through 18 accumulations? There were as many as 13 different types of mysterious insights in Yi-chun's mind. The change of devouring fire is already so powerful, so Yi-chun naturally hopes to obtain similarly powerful mastery methods for others. Looking into the mysterious insights in his mind, besides the already revealed change of devouring fire, the most accumulated insight had amassed 7 times, while the rest had only accumulated once or twice. To accumulate 18 times would still take a lot of time. However, Yi-chun was not concerned about this. In this chaotic Heavenly Hall's second heaven, the Heavenly Chaos Great Marsh, there were plenty of death spaces to explore. At least, Yi-chun had not yet found a way to leave this place. This also meant that there were plenty of death spaces to explore and plenty of mysterious insights to absorb. If other challengers trapped in the death space knew Yi-chun's thoughts, they would surely think Yi-chun was crazy. Others, trapped in death spaces, only hoped to escape quickly from the death space. They would not dare, like Yi-chun, to hope to explore more death spaces. After all, unlike Yi-chun, they did not have the countless years of accumulation of a cosmic emperor, the wealth of a cosmic emperor, at their disposal. Yi-chun could recklessly explore in the death space, hoping for more, but for many divine masters and even overlords, death spaces drained them of tremendous mental energy, yet they could not escape. Some had even died in the endless exploration of death spaces. Those people certainly hoped to escape as soon as possible. Yi-chun was unaware of the thoughts of others. In this second heaven, everyone wandered in their own worlds, unable to meet others. Yi-chun had no choice but to continue his path of accumulation. After comprehending the change of devouring fire, Yi-chun adjusted his mindset and stepped into the next death space. In this death space, with the help of the divine sword treasure just retrieved from the refining god chart, Yi-chun easily killed the demons inside. However, this death space did not yield any mysterious insights. Yi-chun, undeterred, continued to wander. Yet in the subsequent 4 death spaces, after slaying the demons, no mysterious insights appeared. This caused a bit of worry for Yi-chun. Could it be that after realizing the change of devouring fire, I can no longer absorb other mysterious insights? If so, that would be a pity. Yi-chun had been planning to accumulate several types of mysterious insights in this second heaven. If he could only obtain one mastery method, it would be like passing by a treasure mountain only to gain a single treasure, certainly a great pity. Just as Yi-chun was worrying, in the next death space, after slaying the demons, Yi-chun detected the arrival of mysterious insights again. Although this was an insight Yi-chun had only accumulated twice before, it allowed him to let out a long sigh of relief. After all, the continuous arrival of mysterious insights meant that the accumulation of insights had not stopped. Yi-chun still had the chance to obtain other mastery methods. This reignited Yi-chun's enthusiasm. Continue exploring. Filled with anticipation, Yi-chun charged into the next death space. No mysterious insights.
No mysterious insights.
Accumulated once for a mysterious insight, heavens finally, again, obtained the mysterious insight that had already accumulated 7 times. Now it was 8 times, a step closer to the possible opening of insights at 18 times. Again, it's been accumulated 9 times. This is another mysterious insight of fire, although it's a repeat of the change of devouring fire insight I've realized. But this time I can use the change of devouring fire to absorb the divine fire here. Although the divine fire here can only be absorbed in small amounts, it has significantly increased the quality of the divine fire within me, integrating them into the heavenly forbidden flame. Yichun ventured into various death spaces, and in more than half of them he found no gain. However, in the remaining small portion, Yichun successfully acquired various mystical insights, beginning his continual accumulation. When Yichun had nearly depleted the divine power of the divine sword treasure, he finally accumulated enough mystical insights once again, allowing him to clearly perceive the true essence of this insight. And this time, just like the last time when he comprehended the mystical insight change of devouring fire, it was also accumulated after 18 successful attempts. This gave Yichun an increasing understanding of the patterns in gaining mystical insights. This new mystical insight is wind-swallowing transformation, which is actually a kind of wind element mystical insight. Wind element. Yichun had also practiced it extensively before, starting with the wind thunder wings and wind and thunder change, followed by wind's concept. Yichun had been continually practicing cultivation techniques and divine skills related to the wind. Even later, Yichun practiced the earth, fire, water, wind, chaos 5 great divine patterns, which included the divine pattern of wind. But those belong to heaven grade and below divine method and divine skills, just like Yichun previously comprehended the heaven grade fire. Now, this wind-swallowing transformation, like the change of devouring fire, suddenly gave Yichun a more powerful wind element mastery technique that surpasses the heaven grade. Yichun once again obtained a true great divine power. Change of devouring fire, wind-swallowing transformation, 2 great mystical insights, 2 great mastery techniques.
No stopping.
Yichun's venture in the second heaven within the chaotic heavenly hall did not cease at all. His accumulation of mystical insights hadn't stopped either. After roaming over 100 more death spaces, exhausting not only the divine power of the divine sword treasure, but also depleting the divine power of a treasure within the refining God chart, Yichun finally arrived in a space. This space had no demon guarding it, only an ancient teleportation formation. An ancient teleportation formation that leads to the third heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall. This meant that with this teleportation formation, Yichun could finally leave the death space of the second heaven's heavenly chaos great marsh and head to the more mysterious third heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall. However, Yichun showed no hint of excitement at this moment. What a pity! It's time to leave the second heaven so soon. If I had a choice, I'd rather accumulate here a little longer. In this space, there was only the teleportation formation leading to the third heaven, with absolutely no other way out. Staying in the second heaven any longer wasn't an option for Yichun. The regret Yichun felt was because, after exploring over 100 more death spaces, besides successfully accumulating the mystical insight water absorption transformation, after change of devouring fire and wind-swallowing transformation, he still hadn't accumulated enough of the various other mystical insights 18 times and was still in the process of accumulating. Now, without the chance to continue the accumulation, it meant Yichun had no opportunity to truly comprehend the remaining mystical insights. This, of course, filled Yichun with immense regret. Standing before the ancient teleportation formation for dozens of breaths, Yichun finally let out a long breath. One shouldn't be too greedy. I've comprehended 3 major mystical insights in this second heaven, which is already a great harvest. Continuing the venture, although I have the treasure's divine power to use, if I were to encounter some unknown great danger, perhaps heading to the third heaven earlier might not be a bad option. This is enough. 3 major mystical insights are enough. I must focus on strengthening the abilities of these 3 mystical insights further. After all, even though I have the mastery techniques of these 3 mystical insights, to continuously absorb divine fire, divine wind, and divine water to enhance their power will also take a considerable amount of time. Divine fire, divine wind, and divine water that surpass the heaven grade are not so easy to find. The venture in the second heaven has ended. It's time to go and see what the third heaven holds. With his mind and spirit turning for a moment, Yi-chun stepped into the ancient teleportation formation, and in an instant he disappeared from within. At this time, apart from those who had already perished in the second heaven, the other adventurers, including Ning Xiaoxiao who entered the second heaven much later with Yi-chun, had already reached the third heaven. Of the original 27 who entered the chaotic heavenly hall, now, counting Yi-chun, only 15 were still alive. Of course, the most powerful group like Hua Tianjue, Hongjue, Hongyu, and Yuan Qingzi all remained among the living. Their survival to such an extent naturally implied they had numerous trump cards in hand, so the first two heavens of the chaotic heavenly hall didn't pose too significant a challenge for them. Surprisingly, at this moment, these 14 individuals were all seated under a giant tree in the third heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall, seemingly waiting for something. In the next moment, a divine light flickered not far from the giant tree, immediately capturing the attention of these 14 people. Looking towards the divine light, a figure descended from within. Wasn't this figure Yi-chun, who had just teleported from the second heaven to the third heaven? Chapter 1162. Chaos Ancient Tree.
Yi-chun.
When they saw the figure was Yi-chun, Overlord Yuan Qingzi and Divine Master Yuan Feng, who were sitting under the giant tree, both stood up in surprise. Having experienced the dangers of the first and second heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall, they knew that someone must have perished in the first two heavens. Although Yi-chun was extraordinarily powerful, his realm was extremely low, so the two were not sure whether he could make it to the third heaven alive. Seeing Yi-chun arrive at this moment, the two were naturally overjoyed. What surprised them even more was Yi-chun's realm, especially Yuan Qingzi, who clearly remembered that before Yi-chun came to the 13th Chaos Zone, he had just broken through from Earth Divine Venerable to Heavenly Divine Venerable. But now, appearing in the third heaven, Yi-chun was already at the Immortal Divine Venerable realm. This indicated that Yi-chun had elevated another level within the first two heavens. Such a swift realm breakthrough, even Yuan Qingzi as a master had never seen. After all, this was 2 consecutive breakthroughs in the Divine Venerable realms within a year. Could it be that Yi-chun entered that mystical mountain recorded on the ancient stele of the chaotic heavenly hall's first heaven, which could elevate one's realm? Otherwise, it's impossible to break through so fast. Yuan Qingzi thought to himself. It wasn't just Yuan Qingzi. At this moment, others sitting under the giant tree also noticed Yi-chun's realm change. Although there were others in the hall who had also broken through, like Ning Xiaoxiao, who smiled seeing Yi-chun reach the third heaven first, she too had broken through a level. But everyone just thought Ning Xiaoxiao had accumulated enough beforehand for a breakthrough. But Yi-chun was different. The others knew that Yi-chun had just made a breakthrough, and this rapid succession couldn't solely be due to accumulation. It must have been due to a major opportunity. Yi-chun, did you discover that mystical mountain in the first heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall that can elevate one's realm? Among the crowd, the strongest, Hua Tianjue, suddenly asked Yi-chun. Hua Tianjue, at the peak of the Dominion realm, was close to entering the realm of a cosmic emperor. He had always wanted to find that mystical mountain in the first heaven, but despite countless efforts and paths searched, he never found it within the myriad secret halls of treasures. Seeing now that Yi-chun's realm breakthrough was likely due to that mountain, Hua Tianjue was exceedingly interested. Others also focused intently on Yi-chun with Hua Tianjue's question. Yi-chun, seeing everyone's attention, had no fear, simply smiled indifferently, and nodded. Yes, I indeed discovered that mystical mountain capable of elevating one's realm. If you wish to know its exact location, I can tell you. Hiss. Upon hearing Yi-chun's words, everyone became excited. If they could indeed enter that mountain, it meant everyone present had a chance to elevate a level of realm, and those at the pinnacle of master level even had the chance to enter the realm of Cosmic Emperor. Such allure was enough to drive everyone present crazy. The looks in their eyes caught by Yi-chun, yet he remained unfazed. He had used the mystical mountain himself, and whether others could enter or not, it had no relation to him. Telling the others was no concern to him. Besides, Yi-Chun had already noticed that the chaotic heavenly hall was a one-way transmission only, allowing only movement towards deeper heavens or completely leaving the hall to the outside. There was no path back. Seeing his realm elevation made those here so envious they were momentarily scattered in thought. When they calmed down, they would surely realize that even with the exact mountain's location, it was practically impossible to revisit it. Indeed, when Yi-Chun marked the mystical mountain's location on a blank jade plaque and threw it to others, everyone scrambled to see the exact location, went mad for a while. Then, suddenly realizing something, many stopped their actions. Alas! Yuan Qingzi sighed quietly. What a pity! We are already in the third heaven. Even if we now know the location of the mystical mountain, we cannot return to enter and train to break through. Yuan Qingzi heaved a long sigh, then looked at Yi-Chun. Nevertheless, Yi-Chun, we must thank you for letting us know the exact location of the mountain, confirming that the divine object recorded in the ancient stele outside the chaotic heavenly hall indeed exists. Yuan Qingzi sighed deeply. Others also sighed in turn. They knew they missed a great breakthrough opportunity, even knowing the location now. This made everyone even more envious of Yi-Chun. Especially Yu Xindu, the strongest talent below the divine master level, seemed somewhat unsettled looking at Yi-Chun. Yu Xindu hadn't paid any attention to Yi-Chun initially. However, this person whom he considered insignificant had progressed faster since coming to the primal beginning universe. Yi-Chun's strength increased as though flying, completely overshadowing him. This made Yu Xindu find it hard to remain indifferent. Could it be that Yi-Chun is more talented than I am, has more fortune, and thereby more opportunities? Yu Xindu thought, amid the everyone's sighs. Hua Tianjue, however, showed no sign of disappointment. He kept the jade plaque marking the mystical mountain location Yi-Chun had thrown over, addressed everyone. Even if we now haven't found a way back, it doesn't mean we won't have another chance to return to the first heaven. This chaotic heavenly hall is unfathomably mystical. Maybe soon we'll find a way back. Having the specific location to break through the divine mountain is better than having none. Hua Tianjue's words revitalized everyone else. Indeed, having hope is always a good thing. As everyone's expressions changed, the ancient tree above where they were sitting began to change. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The enormous ancient tree suddenly emitted a strange sound and a mysterious light. This mutation startled everyone sitting beneath the ancient tree, causing them to fly up in shock. Could it be that the opportunity of the third layer of heaven is finally about to open? Could Yi-Chun be the last one to reach the third layer of heaven alive? Everyone's hearts were in turmoil. After arriving at the third layer of heaven, whether first or later, everyone found that this space only contained this ancient tree and nothing else. It seemed that all the secrets of the third layer of the chaotic heavenly hall were within this giant tree. Moreover, Hua Tianjue, who was the first to arrive at the third layer of heaven, also sensed this space, which explained that only when all the still living explorers reached the third layer of heaven, the ancient tree would open, allowing everyone to enter. Therefore, Hua Tianjue could only wait for the others beneath the giant tree. One by one, people arrived, but the ancient tree did not open, and everyone could only continue to wait. Now, finally, after Yi-Chen's arrival, the ancient tree opened, surprising and delighting everyone. The shock was that now, including Yi-Chen, there were only 15 people who had reached the third layer of heaven. One must know, 27 people had initially entered the chaotic heavenly hall. Only when all who were still alive reached the ancient tree of the third layer of heaven would it open, and now that it had opened, it meant that only they 15 were still alive. This meant the other 12 had already perished in the previous trials. Having only gone through 2 layers of heaven, 12 people died, which naturally shocked everyone immensely. Even though they encountered hazards in the first 2 layers, they hadn't realized that the mortality rate was so high. Thinking of the faces of those who entered the chaotic heavenly hall with them and were now dead, everyone felt a myriad of emotions. Still, the adventure had to continue. These 15 people, able to reach the third layer of heaven, more or less gained some benefits that couldn't be obtained outside. The treasures of the chaotic heavenly hall became more precious the higher one went. Of course, they wanted to continue the adventure. The ancient tree of the third layer of heaven had already opened, which was an exciting thing for them. Everyone suppressed the myriad of thoughts in their hearts, and Hua Tianjue flew towards the giant tree first, saying as he flew to the others, "Let's go. The opportunity is here. Don't miss it. If you're afraid of death, then stay outside and see if there's a way to leave." After saying this, Hua Tianjue flew directly into the divine light of the giant tree. From the outside, his figure could no longer be seen. Seeing this, the others naturally didn't want to fall behind either. What a joke, having come all this way, no one here would be afraid of death. Not having encountered any danger yet, everyone certainly wouldn't give up halfway. Swoosh! Swoosh! After Hua Tianjue, the others also flew into the divine light of the giant tree one after another. Yuan Qingzi, beside Yi Chun, also prepared to move. At this moment, Ning Xiaoxiao suddenly flew in front of Yi Chun. "Yi Chun, I'm so glad you're all right. I was worried you might have had trouble in the second layer of heaven." Ning Xiaoxiao's first words surprised both Yuan Qingzi and Yuan Feng beside Yi Chun. They remembered that when they first came to the 13th Chaos Zone, Ning Xiaoxiao showed no particular interest in Yi Chun. Now, she seemed very concerned about him. Ning Xiaoxiao, a peerless divine lady from the Linglong Divine Land's jurisdiction, was also the most captivating woman among this group of low-realm geniuses. Seeing Yi Chun attract the attention of someone like Ning Xiaoxiao, Yuan Qingzi and Yuan Feng were full of admiration for Yi Chun. And when others saw Ning Xiaoxiao fly to Yi Chun and talk to him intimately, they were even more surprised. Especially the remaining geniuses below the Divine Master realm who were still alive. Their eyes widened seeing this scene. Yi Chun, noticing everyone's expressions, could only shake his head helplessly. He had no interest in Ning Xiaoxiao whatsoever. But since Ning Xiaoxiao approached with good intentions, Yi Chun couldn't say much. He could only smile and nod at her. Seeing Yi Chun nod, Ning Xiaoxiao's eyes turned into crescent moons from smiling. She suddenly transmitted a message to Yi Chun. "Yi Chun, let's act together after entering the Chaos Ancient Tree later. I received mysterious information as soon as I arrived here, and there might be a substantial gain later. I don't trust the others. Yi Chun, you helped me break through before, so I trust your character the most." Ning Xiaoxiao's words left Yi Chun stunned. Chaos Ancient Tree? He had heard from Yuan Qingzi but had no idea about the name of this ancient tree. Ning Xiaoxiao had received mysterious information from this ancient tree, which truly was surprising. "Let's act together then." Yi Chun agreed without hesitation. The two mingled with the crowd, flying straight into the divine light of the giant tree, disappearing from sight. Chapter 1163. Treasure Caves and Guardian Demons. From the outside of the third layer of the chaotic heavenly hall, you can already feel the immense size of the giant tree. But when you truly fly into the divine light of the giant tree, you finally see through the mist and can truly see the full appearance of the giant tree. This giant tree is even larger and more mysterious than imagined. From the outside, it looks at most a few hundred zhang high, but once inside its space, this giant tree is a full 10,000 zhang tall, like a giant mountain. It's simply towering to the sky and anchoring the earth. At the lowest part of the giant tree, there is a mysterious entrance. This is also the true entrance to this giant tree. When Yi Chun and Ning Xiaoxiao followed others and flew into the entrance of the giant tree, the sight before them left them stunned. This giant tree was not naturally born, but crafted by someone, and inside the entrance, there is an enormous hall. At this moment, Hua Tianjue and the others who had flown in first had already settled in the hall. When Yi Chun and Ning Xiaoxiao also flew into the hall, along with a few others who entered afterward, all 15 who remained alive had entered the hall inside the giant tree. At this time, everyone gathered around Hua Tianjue, and Hua Tianjue stood against one wall of the hall, reading the words on the wall. These inscriptions were the instructions for the challenges of this giant tree hall. Yi Chun also glanced at the words on the wall. Upon reading them through, Yi Chun's eyes sparkled with excitement. This giant tree is actually a treasure mine. According to the inscriptions on the wall, Within this giant tree lies countless treasures. Unlike the myriad treasures grotto of the first layer of heaven with numerous pathways, where everyone essentially traversed different paths, nor like the heavenly chaos great marsh of the second layer of heaven, where everyone adventures alone and faces crises independently. In this giant tree, everyone can only proceed on the same path. Everyone must face the dangers inside the third layer of heaven together, advancing collectively. The words on the wall also explained that besides the hall everyone was currently in, there were 3 other treasure caves, each guarded by a demon, and one must overcome the demon to enter the treasure caves for treasures. Moreover, each treasure cave has a specified number of treasures that each person can choose. In the first treasure cave, everyone can choose 3 treasures. In the second treasure cave, everyone can choose 2 treasures. In the third treasure cave, everyone can choose 1 treasure. Upon completing the challenges of all 3 treasure caves inside the giant tree, one can pass through the last ancient teleportation formation to enter the 4th layer of the chaotic heavenly hall. After reading the inscriptions on the wall, not only was Yi-chan overjoyed, but all the other people also had smiles of delight on their faces. 3 treasure caves. A total opportunity to select 6 treasures. Do you know, this is in the space of the 3rd layer of the chaotic heavenly hall, a place more precious than the 1st layer of heaven and the 2nd layer of heaven. The treasures here must be better than most of those in the 1st and 2nd layers of heaven. If they can pass through the demons guarding all 3 treasure caves and seize 6 treasures, it would unquestionably be a massive harvest. Yi-chan and the others also knew that the further they went in the chaotic heavenly hall, the greater the danger, and later they might not be able to proceed far and could be stopped very quickly. Of course, now it was best to get as many treasures as possible. At this moment, Yi-chan was filled with anticipation. In the myriad treasures grotto of the 1st layer of heaven, Yi-chan comprehended the method of the spatial rift, also gained several unique treasures from within the grotto, and most importantly, he entered the divine mountain that can elevate his realm, advancing from heavenly divine venerable to immortal divine venerable. In the heavenly chaos great marsh of the 2nd layer of heaven, Yi-chan traversed many death spaces and mastered the change of devouring fire, wind-swallowing transformation, and water absorption transformation, allowing him to advance further in the cultivation of the 3 divine objects of fire, water, and wind. Now, in the chaos ancient tree of the 3rd layer, who knows what he might obtain? Yi-chan anticipated, as did Ning Xiaoxiao, who had gathered much information about the chaos ancient tree, and everyone else was expectant. At this moment, Hua Tianjue, the leader, seeing that everyone had finished reading the words on the wall, spoke up, "Let's go. We will challenge the 1st treasure cave, and face the 1st guarding demon there." With that, he took the lead, heading into the passageway deep within the hall. Everyone followed behind Hua Tianjue, moving forward. After advancing about several hundred zhang further, everyone felt an incredibly intense wave of heat coming ahead. This heat wave was terrifying. The remaining 2 Dominion Realm geniuses and Ning Xiaoxiao struggled to bear it and quickly activated their defensive treasures to resist the heat wave. Among the geniuses below the Divine Master Realm, only Yi-chan and Yushindu could maintain their calm expressions. Yushindu was recognized as the foremost talent below the Divine Master Realm, and it wasn't surprising that he withstood this terrifying heat wave. That Yi-chan at the Immortal Divine Venerable Realm could also withstand it shocked many people greatly. Reflecting on how Yi-chan previously found the Divine Mountain that could enhance one's realm in the 1st layer of heaven, and during the contention for entry into the chaotic heavenly hall outside, Yi-chan held Dominion-level divine treasure in his hand. In an instant, everyone understood that this Yi-chan before them was definitely not as simple as he appeared to be, an immortal divine venerable genius. His true strength might be no weaker than Yushindu. This made the divine master overlords in the scene pay even more attention to Yi-chan. Of course, the heat wave still affected Ning Xiaoxiao and other divine venerables, yet it had little impact on the divine master overlords. After Ning Xiaoxiao and others activated their defensive treasures, the team did not pause as they continued moving forward. The farther forward they traveled, the more terrifying the heat wave became. After advancing over 100 zhang, even Yushindu could no longer withstand it, and also activated his defensive treasure to block the heat wave. At this moment, Yi Chun still had not activated any treasure to block it. This made Yu Shindu's heart suddenly shrink. Could it be that Yi Chen's defensive ability is stronger than mine? Yu Shindu looked at Yi Chun in disbelief. Seeing Yu Shindu's gaze, Yi Chen's mind and spirit moved, but he smiled and said to the astonished crowd looking at him, "Earlier, in the realm of the second heaven, I obtained a treasure that can automatically block the heat wave, so I don't need to deliberately activate it to defend." As he spoke, Yi Chun flipped his palm, and an ice crystal-colored orb appeared in his hand. As soon as the ice crystal-colored orb appeared, Ning Xiaoxiao beside Yi Chun felt an extremely chilly sensation spreading in her direction, shrinking back the heat wave assaulting her. Evidently, the ice crystal orb in Yi Chen's hand is a remarkable cold divine object. Upon hearing that Yi Chun was also using a treasure to block the heat wave, everyone felt slightly relieved. If Yi Chun could walk this far without using any treasure, surpassing Yu Shindu, that would be too terrifying. After all, Yu Shindu is a 5-star sovereign, and Yi Chun is merely an immortal divine venerable. What these people didn't know was that the ice crystal orb in Yi Chen's hand was not obtained from the realm of the second heaven. Nor was it something Yi Chun used for automatically blocking the heat wave all along. This treasure was actually one of the treasures left behind by the Cosmic Emperor in the Refining God chart. Yi Chun noticed several attentions focused on him, so he intentionally took it out to avoid drawing too much attention to himself. In fact, the heat wave in front of him posed no threat to Yi Chun even without the ice crystal orb. Indeed, Yi Chun even felt that as the heat wave struck him, it was absorbed into his body, transforming into divine power that gradually enhanced his divine power cultivation. The cause of all this was precisely the result brought about by the mystical insight Yi Chun comprehended earlier in the realm of the second heaven. That mystical insight was, in fact, the change of devouring fire. The change of devouring fire mystical insight has increased my capability to absorb divine fire-related things. Could this heat wave be transformed from divine fire? Could the guardian demon in front be related to divine fire? Yi Chun pondered as he moved forward. After advancing several hundred more zhang, Yi Chun and the others finally arrived outside the first treasure cave and saw the guardian demon outside this first treasure cave. It was a gigantic fire serpent. This fire serpent was probably 1,000 zhang long, coiling its body upright ahead, like a volcano. Its entire body was fiery red, and atop its head, like a divine dragon, grew 2 fiery divine horns. Its scales, each several zhang large, glistened with peculiar divine light like fire crystals. Upon seeing this fire serpent, everyone's tensed hearts suddenly relaxed. Even though the fire serpent appeared incredibly terrifying and the heat waves it emanated previously had been almost unbearable for many talents below the divine master realm, upon truly seeing its form and sensing its aura, everyone finally understood its realm. This was a fire serpent at the divine master peak. It was still manageable. Initially, everyone was worried the guardian demon would be too formidable. Now, there was absolutely no need for concern. As long as the fire serpent was killed, they could enter the first treasure cave to select treasure. Thinking of this, Hua Tianjue couldn't help but already feel tempted to take action. However, at this moment, the overlord Hongjue from Linglong Divine Land stopped Hua Tianjue and spoke up. "Hua, this demon is indeed easy to handle, but before dealing with it, should we discuss the order of selecting treasures upon entering the cave afterwards? After all, those who select treasures first will have a greater chance of getting good treasures." Overlord Hongjue's words prompted everyone else to look at Hua Tianjue. Indeed, although they still didn't know how the treasures inside the cave were stored or retrieved, those who choose first surely have the greatest advantage. Determining the selection order is crucial. Upon hearing Overlord Hongjue's question and seeing the crowd's gaze, Hua Tianjue responded unceremoniously, "Of course, based on strength priority, whoever has the strongest strength goes first to select. If anyone is dissatisfied, feel free to challenge those at the front, and no one else will interfere. How about it?" Hua Tianjue's words made the Divine Master and talents below the Divine Master realm feel a shiver in their hearts. Evidently, according to this order, the overlords present would choose first, and they could only line up afterward. Nevertheless, after thinking it over, selecting treasures in this order seemed most appropriate. Seeing everyone silently agree, Hua Tianjue laughed heartily and directly said, "As for this divine master peak little demon, you don't need to make a move. I'll eliminate it directly." Chapter 1164. Endless Divine Object. Hua Tianjue, a figure at the peak of the overlord level, is a super powerful being with 1 foot stepped into the cosmic emperor level. His combat power is the highest in the field, definitely at an unbelievable level. The fire serpent demon before him, even at the 9th divine master level, even if it can dominate an entire universe in a regular cosmos, has no ability to resist whatsoever in the presence of Hua Tianjue. In front of Hua Tianjue, the fire serpent demon is indeed an insignificant little demon. With just one hand, Hua Tianjue kills it instantly. This is the first time many, including Yi Chun, have seen Hua Tianjue take action, and his thunderous killing force shook the hearts of many. Even Yi Chun, with cosmic emperor-level killing power in hand, knows that it's not truly his own cultivation, but rather the divine power of others, and using this divine power cannot genuinely exhibit cosmic emperor-level divine might. When compared to Hua Tianjue, he is still far inferior. Nonetheless, at this moment, people have no time to specifically feel the power of Hua Tianjue, because the guardian demon of the first treasure cave has been slain, meaning that the 15 people present can now enter the first treasure cave to select treasures. At the instant the guardian demon was slain, the treasure cave behind the demon already shone with divine light, and the door swung open. And without hesitation, Hua Tianjue flew into the treasure cave first. Overlord Hongjue and Overlord Yuan Qingzi also signaled their teammates, including Ning Xiaoxiao and Yi Chan, and quickly flew into the treasure cave. Next comes the time for treasure selection, and no one wants to fall behind. Even if they know those strong overlords will choose treasures first, they still want to see at the first opportunity what exactly is inside the treasure cave. Under such circumstances, in an instant, Yi Chun and everyone else flew into the treasure cave. Upon entering the treasure cave and seeing the situation inside, not only Yi Chun but also everyone else, including the super strong ones who entered first like Hua Tianjue, were dumbfounded. They only see that inside the treasure cave is a world of several thousand zhong in circumference, and in the sky above, thousands of divine glowing lanterns are floating. Each lantern, from the outside, looks exactly the same, and there is no way to distinguish what differences lie inside. A voice echoed in this world, explaining the rules for selecting treasures in this treasure cave. According to the voice, those thousands of lanterns in the sky are all alternate spaces containing treasures. As explained by the rules for breaking through the 3rd layer of heaven, in this first treasure cave, each person has only 3 chances to enter a lantern and take treasures. This means that among the 15 people present, they can only take a total of 45 pieces of divine objects from these thousands of divine objects. With endless divine objects, only 45 pieces can be taken, which makes everyone feel very regretful. Even more shocking is that the voice said the treasures in this first treasure cave are at least divine master level, and the most numerous are overlord level treasures, with a few cosmic emperor level treasures. Cosmic emperor level treasures. Even Hua Tianjue would definitely be envious. Unfortunately, only 3 treasures can be taken, and even more unfortunate is that the differences in the treasures cannot be distinguished from the outside, and choosing the treasures entirely depends on luck. Under such circumstances, even if those strong overlords choose first, it doesn't necessarily mean they will select the most precious items. This situation caused both Hua Tianjue and Overlord Hongjue's faces to darken. Yi Chan and other low-realm geniuses, however, breathed a little sigh of relief. After all, if the treasures were visible, the good items would surely be taken first by the strong overlords. On the contrary, in the current situation, they may be able to obtain something better than those strong overlords. This made many people secretly anticipate. Just as everyone was holding their own thoughts, Hua Tianjue spoke up, "All right, there are still 2 more treasure caves to get through, and even more levels of the chaotic heavenly hall after that. Here, let's hurry up." As was said before entering this treasure cave, those with greater strength choose first. Even if these treasures look indistinguishable from the outside, there must still be an order. I'll choose first, no objections, right? Overlord Hongjue and others shook their heads, and the other people remained silent. Seeing this, Hua Tianjue, without any hesitation, swoosh, flew directly into the sky and entered a lantern. A few moments later, he emerged from the lantern. From his face, it was impossible to tell what treasure he received. It was clear he had already stored the treasure inside his own storage space. After taking one treasure, Hua Tianjue, without hesitation, quickly chose 2 more lanterns and took another 2 treasures. Next, Overlord Hongjue stepped forward to choose. Among these thousands of lanterns, the order of who goes first or last doesn't matter much. Thus, Overlord Hongjue choosing second did not raise any objections from the other strong overlords. Overlord Hongjue similarly entered 3 treasure lanterns and selected 3 treasures. However, unlike Hua Tianjue who showed no change in expression, it was unclear what treasure he had chosen. After Hongjue took a treasure, she revealed an extremely joyful smile on her face, clearly indicating that she had gained a satisfying treasure during the selection. This made many people wonder if Hongjue had obtained a Cosmic Emperor-level treasure. However, no one knew exactly what treasure it was, and even when another powerful overlord from Linglong Divine Land inquired, Hongjue did not specifically explain. It's a joke, treasures involve secret weapons and even life-and-death battles. Even if they belong to the same force, one wouldn't reveal their trump card to others, let alone explicitly state what treasure they obtained. Thus, even with Hongjue's unusually excited expression, Hua Tianjue simply glanced at her without saying much. Of course, the most powerful individuals present also had a fleeting thought of killing others to seize their treasures after everyone had chosen. But after considering the backgrounds of those present, the risks and rewards of the treasures, and their own certainty, they dismissed this idea. None of the most powerful individuals present had absolute confidence in killing everyone and taking all their treasures. Not even Hua Tianjue had such certainty. Under such circumstances, they naturally wouldn't take such risks. After all, if they failed, and the news reached Blue Gold City, they would be completely annihilated by the cosmic emperors there, even if they were peak lords. The treasure retrieval continued. After the overlords finished choosing their treasures, the divine masters began to select theirs. Yi Chun and Ning Xiaoxiao were still waiting on the side, not rushing to act. There were countless treasures here, and dozens of them were simply a drop in the ocean. So Yi Chun wasn't interested in competing with the divine masters for precedence in choosing. At this moment, Ning Xiaoxiao and Yi Chun were engaged in a secret conversation. Ning, can you really sense which lanterns hold more precious treasures? Yi Chun asked Ning Xiaoxiao in disbelief. Ning Xiaoxiao quietly nodded to Yi Chun. Yi Chun, didn't I mention to you before entering the treasure cave that I received mysterious information from the Chaos Ancient Tree in this 3rd layer of heaven? I don't know about the latter 2 treasure caves, but in this first treasure cave, I can indeed sense which lanterns contain more precious treasures. Of course, this batch of treasures is definitely among the top in these thousands of treasures, but I can't sense the exact level. We still have to rely on luck to possibly get the most precious treasure. However, even so, our probability of obtaining better things is higher than others. Yi Chun, I've observed that only Hua Tianjue and Hongjue have taken 2 of the more precious treasures that I sensed. The others have basically taken lesser treasures. Later, let's select from the precious treasures. Yi Chun, remember carefully which lanterns are more precious as I tell you. I can sense dozens, and you'll have to decide which one to choose yourself. Ning Xiaoxiao explained to Yi Chun via transmission, while Yi Chun memorized the precious lanterns marked by Ning Xiaoxiao, feeling amazed in his heart. After arriving at this 3rd layer of heaven, Yi Chun had focused on sensing the space star aperture here, imprinting an origin star aperture in his body. Hence, Yi Chun could faintly sense the differences in these treasure lanterns. However, even with some vague sense, it couldn't match Ning Xiaoxiao's specificity. Ning Xiaoxiao could sense the most precious batch of treasure lanterns, largely aligning with Yi Chun's own vague feelings. This had to make Yi Chun marvel at her. Ning Xiaoxiao was truly extraordinary. No doubt a daughter favored by the heavens. Even though she couldn't distinguish the most precious cosmic emperor-level treasures, being able to pick out the most precious dozens from thousands meant a far greater chance of obtaining powerful treasures. Yi Chun knew that Ning Xiaoxiao was sharing the secret with him to repay him for helping her enter and break through at the divine mountain in the first layer of heaven. If, in the later treasure caves, Ning Xiaoxiao can't sense valuable treasures, and I can vaguely sense them, I'll remind her as well, Yi Chun thought. While Yi Chun and Ning Xiaoxiao were conversing via transmission, the selection process by the 15 individuals had already progressed halfway. Soon, it was the turn of Yu Xindu, Ning Xiaoxiao, and Yi Chun, these geniuses below the divine master level, to make their selections. Yu Xindu was the first to choose and quickly finished selecting. Yi Chun noticed that the lanterns Yu Xindu chose were not among the most precious lanterns. Clearly, even if the treasures he chose were valuable, they weren't among the top dozens. Yi Chun, do you want to go first, or should I? Ning Xiaoxiao asked Yi Chun with a smile after Yu Xindu. Yi Chun didn't mind. Ning, you go first. Ning Xiaoxiao nodded and, seeing no objection from the remaining few who hadn't chosen, flew directly into 3 lanterns in succession. Lastly, unable to hide her joy, she selected 3 treasures and left. The 3 lanterns Ning Xiaoxiao entered were the 3 she had pointed out to Yi Chun as part of the most precious batch of dozens. After Ning Xiaoxiao, Yi Chun also stepped forward. For Yi Chun stepping forward, the 2 remaining sovereigns had nothing to say. They didn't want to challenge Yi Chun, who had been continuously creating miracles, over the order. If they failed the challenge, they would lose face. Therefore, it was finally time for Yi Chun to choose his treasure. Swish. Without hesitation, Yi Chun flew directly into the first treasure lantern he had been eyeing. Chapter 1165. Ancient Origin Ice Bead. Treasures, who would ever think they have too many? Even though Yi Chun once used a life-saving scroll to kill the divine soul of a cosmic emperor in the ghost mist, carrying on him the refining god chart, filled with countless treasures of a peak cosmic emperor. Yet, the countless treasures inside the refining god chart are not easy to use outside. Moreover, even if they can be used, using one means one less treasure. Like now, the only ones Yi Chun can directly take out and use in front of countless people are the 3 ancient chaos treasures. Among the 3 ancient chaos treasures, the 7 copper coin treasures have already exhausted their divine power and can no longer be used. Only that 1 broken blade ancient treasure and the most precious flower basket-shaped ancient treasure are left. Furthermore, the broken blade ancient treasure had already been used once in previous adventures, depleting some divine power. In such a situation, Yi Chun naturally hopes to obtain more treasures. This chaotic heavenly hall is incredibly wondrous. The 9 heavens within each layer more precious than the last. The first heaven already has a miraculous ancient mountain that can directly enhance one's realm. And the second heaven has even more unbelievable mysteries hidden within. Having traversed the first 2 heavens, Yi Chun vaguely senses that this chaotic heavenly hall is likely a mysterious place coveted by countless cosmic emperors, possibly crafted by a great star lord. The treasures within are absolutely unbelievable. Yi Chun eagerly anticipates what treasures he can obtain in this 3rd heaven. Swoosh! As Yi Chun flies into the first treasure lantern, he finds within only an ancient table, upon which rests a treasure box and a book. Once Yi Chun enters the treasure lantern space, the book senses Yi Chun and flies towards him, opening directly with its characters flashing before his eyes. These characters, unexpectedly, are an introduction to the treasures hidden in this space. Ancient Origin Ice Bead. Cosmic Emperor Level Treasure. Only Cosmic Emperor level power can activate it. Once activated, it can unleash time ice-sealing power according to the strength of the force, capable of ice-sealing anyone or any demon below Star-Lord realm. The introduction in the book about the treasure in this space makes Yi Chun's heart rave with excitement at first glance. This time, Yi Chun is incredibly fortunate. Unlike being surrounded by endless death space like in the second heaven, this time, with the first treasure, he obtains a Cosmic Emperor level treasure. And it's a top-tier Cosmic Emperor treasure. Heavens. Capable of freezing all below Star-Lord realm. This means that even when facing a peak-level Cosmic Emperor, as long as Yi Chun can activate the Ancient Origin Ice Bead, he can freeze them. This is simply incredible. If someone else had obtained this treasure, some might not even have the Cosmic Emperor level of power to activate it, but Yi Chun is not lacking at all in Cosmic Emperor level power. Not only does his life-saving scroll contain Cosmic Emperor level power, but even the refining God chart holds Cosmic Emperor level divine power that he can use. This means that Yi Chun already possesses the ability to use the Ancient Origin Ice Bead, an absolute life-saving trump card. The more Yi Chun reads about the Ancient Origin Ice Bead in the book, the more ecstatic he becomes. With the Ancient Origin Ice Bead, Yi Chun can not only freeze powerful enemies below the Star-Lord realm, but according to the Ice Bead's introduction, can activate its killing power to deal with or even destroy opponents. This gives Yi Chun immense confidence, adding countless guts to his exploration of the chaotic Heavenly Hall, and even later exploration of the primal beginning universe and the cosmic sea. Even more astounding to Yi Chun is that, unlike his 3 ancient treasures, whose divine power is limited and cannot be used once depleted, the Ancient Origin Ice Bead is a miraculous treasure that can be used continuously. Even when the stored divine power is exhausted, simply carrying it can restore divine power on its own. And in the ice world, it can autonomously absorb ice power, restoring its divine power extremely rapidly. This means that Yi Chun can use this treasure for a very long time. The precious box on the ancient table contained the Ancient Origin Ice Bead. After reading the book, Yi Chun directly took the ice bead from the treasure box and examined it carefully. It is a fist-sized ice bead, crystal clear and incomparably brilliant. Yi Chun, after examining it for a moment, joyously stored it in the Star's Tower. The Star's Tower, crafted by the ZG Star-Lord, is a supreme divine object, likely unable to be uncovered even by a Star-Lord level expert. Stored in the Star's Tower, Yi Chun is also unafraid of the Ancient Origin Ice Bead's secret being discovered by others. There are still 2 treasures to be taken. After obtaining this first incredible treasure, Yi Chun does not delay further, his expression returning to normal, as he flies out from the treasure lantern back to the outside. Outside, everyone looks towards Yi Chun, but they only see his face serene as ever, having no idea that Yi Chun has obtained an unbelievable divine object. And Yi Chun, after staying outside for a moment, flew into the second treasure lantern. Inside this second treasure lantern, there was also an ancient table, on which lay a treasure box and books introducing the treasure. However, this second treasure was not as extraordinary as the first Ancient Origin Ice Bead. It was merely a killing power treasure of peak lord level, named Bombardment Divine Mace, similar to the 7 copper coin ancient treasures Yi Chun had used before. Seeing this, Yi Chun was not too disappointed. A killing power treasure of peak lord level was enough for Yi Chun to use at this stage. Yi Chun also knew that this was just the first treasure cave. Treasures at the Cosmic Emperor level were few and far between, perhaps only a handful, and he had already obtained an incredible item. How could he have such good luck to get another one? The Bombardment Divine Mace was already enough. After taking this second treasure, Yi Chun returned outside and then flew into the third lantern to retrieve the last treasure. Finally, Yi Chun left with the last treasure, another killing power treasure of peak lord level, the Chaos Thunder Whip. 3 treasures. 1 top-tier treasure of Cosmic Emperor level, 2 top-tier treasures of Overlord level. If someone could compare everyone's obtained treasures, they would definitely find that this was the biggest gain among the 15. If others knew that Yi Chun had obtained such treasures, especially the Ancient Origin Ice Bead, even Hua Tianjue would go mad with jealousy and would definitely have the urge to seize it. Of course, at this time, no one knew what treasures Yi Chun had obtained. After retrieving the treasures, Yi Chun calmly rejoined the group, continuing to watch as others retrieved their treasures. Ning Xiaoxiao merely smiled at Yi Chun, not showing any intention of inquiring about the treasures he obtained. When the last 2 sovereigns also finished retrieving their treasures, the treasure collection in the first treasure cave was finally completed for all 15 people. No matter the expressions on the others' faces, many probably felt joy in their hearts. At this moment, Hua Tianjue addressed the crowd. The 3 treasure caves, each one more precious than the last. This is just the beginning. Let's go to the next treasure cave. With those words, he continued to lead the way. And everyone else, of course, without any objection, full of anticipation, continued to move forward. After passing through the first treasure cave's exit and walking for a long time, the crowd finally felt something amiss again. In front of the first treasure cave, the further they advanced, the hotter it got, until they encountered the fire serpent great demon guarding it. But in front of the second treasure cave, the cold intensified, even more terrifying than the previous scorching heat. Just feeling this cold was unbearable for a few geniuses below the sovereign realm. After a few more steps in the cold, even Ning Xiaoxiao and Yushindu activated defensive treasures to withstand the extreme cold. Even several divine masters activated their defensive powers to resist. Clearly, this cold was incredibly alarming, far more terrifying than the previous heat. In this situation, Yi Chen did not try to appear special and also activated a divine object for defense. However, what the crowd did not know was that Yi Chen was not afraid of this cold at all. Instead, this endless cold was absorbed by Yi Chen as soon as it reached him, flowing into the star's tower, merging into the ancient origin ice bead. In fact, this endless cold merely caused the ancient origin ice bead to turn slightly, seeming like a power entirely different in tier from the ancient origin ice bead, not reaching even a billionth of its power. Of course, the geniuses below the divine master realm had some difficulty resisting this cold, but the peak lords and powerful divine masters among them were completely unaffected. They led the others and continued forward. The further they went, the more terrifying the cold became. The group knew the guardian demon of the second treasure cave was undoubtedly countless times more frightening than the first. Finally, when they reached the entrance of the second treasure cave, the 15 finally saw what this second demon was. It turned out not to be one of the countless demons they imagined. It was an enormous ice divine grass plant monster. Wow. Even more frightening was that just as the group stepped within the range of the second treasure cave entrance, the ice divine grass plant monster's leaves suddenly expanded, transforming into fearsome snow-white ice leaves hundreds of feet long, surging toward Yi-chan and the others. Just sensing this force made Yi-chan and the others' faces change. This was a killing force at peak lord level. It must be noted that the strongest among them were only at peak lord level. Even though realm does not equate to killing force, everyone present was a genius, such as Hua Tianjue, a figure at peak lord level, one step into the cosmic emperor realm. His killing force had long surpassed peak lord level, reaching cosmic emperor level. But even so, the killing power of such a great demon was indeed fearsome. After all, the first treasure cave's guardian demon was merely at divine master peak. The second one's guardian demon had already become peak lord level. For the third treasure cave's guardian demon, was it possible it would become cosmic emperor peak level? However, at this time, they had no time to think about the third guardian demon. Facing the ice divine grass's killing force attack, everyone deployed their countermeasures. Even the weakest sovereign realm geniuses had numerous treasures, using them to defend against the ice divine grass's attack. And powerful figures like Hua Tianjue, seeing that the demon would not pose a life threat to others, wasted no time. He directly unleashed a furious blaze from his hand, assaulting the ice divine grass. Chapter 1166. Madness. The ice divine grass, with countless leaves hundreds of feet long, rolls and kills through the air. At the peak lord level, the ice divine grass is like a god of war, able to annihilate everything. However, Hua Tianjue, who is half a step into the cosmic emperor realm and capable of cross-realm combat, is even more formidable. When Hua Tianjue unleashed an overwhelming fire attack toward the ice divine grass, flames erupted skyward and instantly burned toward all the leaves of the ice divine grass. The ice divine grass seemed to sense a life and death crisis, and in an instant retracted all its leaves. Meanwhile, its entire body began to emit divine light, transforming into a cone-like body of divine light, ready to resist Hua Tianjue's attack. Seeing Hua Tianjue take action, Yi-chan and all others paused their attacks, watching the battle between Hua Tianjue and the ice divine grass. At this moment, Hua Tianjue's flame attack missed the leaves but did not retract. It directly formed incredibly fast fireballs, which bombarded the defending ice divine grass. Boom! 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 Each fireball exploded upon impact with the ice divine grass's body. When dozens of fireballs bombarded the ice divine grass's body, the ice divine grass realized it couldn't withstand Hua Tianjue's attack further and astonishingly spun whirl in midair, transforming its entire body into a different form, a state resembling ice spikes. Whoosh! In this state, the ice divine grass's speed increased enormously, dodging the fireball attacks and directly shooting back at Hua Tianjue. This ice divine grass, befitting its status as a peak lord level demon, is not as easy to deal with as the previous treasure cave guardian, the fiery serpent. However, no matter how difficult it is to handle, it is fundamentally not Hua Tianjue's match. Seeing the ice divine grass counterattack, Hua Tianjue did not fear but laughed. He grasped at the void toward the rapidly approaching ice divine grass. Something astonishing happened. In the void, an icy aura unexpectedly formed around the ice divine grass. A chill that instantly stopped the naturally ice-attributed ice divine grass, freezing it in midair. Evidently, the cold aura driven by Hua Tianjue was a more terrifying and profound level of icy power than the chill emitted by the ice divine grass. The ice divine grass couldn't resist at all. A little demon guarding treasures, just at the peak lord combat power, dares to attack me, truly naive. Hua Tianjue glanced at the frozen ice divine grass and shook his head with a smile. Then he pointed a finger, releasing an eerie white mist within the freezing power encasing the ice divine grass. As soon as this white mist appeared, it enveloped the ice divine grass entirely. Moments later, the entire ice divine grass, along with the freezing power in the void, disappeared without a trace, as if the ice divine grass never existed. The peak lord level ice divine grass thus perished before the second treasure cave. At this moment, observing Hua Tianjue's action, many people's hearts surged with towering waves, especially the divine master and the geniuses below the divine master realm. Completely unexpected, even the peak lord level ice divine grass was no match for Hua Tianjue and was slain so effortlessly by him. Particularly Hua Tianjue's entirely opposing methods, flames and icy power, both so terrifying, simply incredible. Even more frightening is that these methods are evidently not all of Hua Tianjue's techniques. When Hua Tianjue's real abilities are unleashed, they might be even more astonishing. This caused many people to secretly become vigilant. After all, this level of power, if intent on destroying them without a life-saving trump card, they could be wiped out instantly like the two treasure guardian demons. They have to be extremely cautious. At this moment, Yi Chun, watching Hua Tianjue's display of flame and icy powers, felt little disturbance in his heart. Even though Yi Chun is only at the immortal divine venerable realm, Yi Chun has dealt with cosmic emperor divine souls before. The profound change of devouring fire and ancient origin ice bead treasures he acquired gave him a clear understanding of the power level Hua Tianjue just demonstrated compared to others. The flame power is at the peak lord level. The ice sealing power has just touched the cosmic emperor level. Indeed, Hua Tianjue is fearsome. It should be guarded against, but not overly feared. Yi Chun thought to himself. If others knew Yi Chun's thoughts, they would probably curse Yi Chun for being ignorant of heaven and earth. After all, Yi Chun, a mere immortal divine venerable, stands far apart in power against the peak lord level, reaching the cosmic emperor level nature of Hua Tianjue. Yi Chun daring not to fear Hua Tianjue is simply unimaginable. But these people don't know if outside, without external methods, Yi Chun might truly fear Hua Tianjue. But in the primal beginning universe, possessing a cosmic emperor level life-saving scroll and numerous cosmic emperor level treasures available to use, Yi Chun can no longer be looked at as merely an immortal divine venerable. Even if it is external resources, at least Yi Chun can use them. At the very least, Yi Chun also has ways to deal with the cosmic emperor in his grasp. During this moment, as everyone harbored their respective thoughts, Hua Tianjue, who slew the second treasure guardian demon, directly gazed toward the second treasure cave ahead. Let's go. It's time to retrieve the second batch of treasures. Hua Tianjue leads the way, flying into the second treasure cave. Seeing Hua Tianjue move, the remaining people no longer hesitated, following one after another, flying toward the second treasure cave. Now, their strength is indeed insufficient against Hua Tianjue. In such circumstances, acquiring some treasures is a more crucial matter. Whoosh! 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 As everyone flew into the second treasure cave, the scene before them elicited exclamations of awe from many. In the first treasure cave, the guardian great demon was the fire serpent, and the treasures were hidden inside sparkling lanterns in the sky. In this second treasure cave, the guardian great demon was the ice divine grass, and the treasures were encased within ice pillars on the ground. Just like the thousands of treasure lanterns in the first cave, this second cave also housed thousands of treasure ice pillars. Furthermore, there was a voice that announced the rules for selecting treasures in this cave. The voice explained, "In this second treasure cave, all treasures available for selection are within the ice pillars. Each person only has 2 chances to enter the ice pillars, and can only take 2 treasures." The voice also warned, to everyone's shock, that the treasures in the second cave were at the lowest Overlord level. Most were Overlord level, with a few at Cosmic Emperor level, and incredibly, there was even 1 Star Lord level treasure. After the voice finished, even the most powerful peak lords present, including Hua Tianjue, showed signs of shock, their eyes filled with madness. Star Lord level treasure. In this second treasure cave, there was actually a Star Lord level treasure. Even though there was only 1 Star Lord level treasure, it was an unfathomable existence for the 15 people present. Not just for them, but even for a Cosmic Emperor or a Star Lord, a Star Lord level treasure would undeniably be the most precious of treasures. Star Lord level, that was already among the most precious treasures in this universe and countless others, including the Cosmic Sea. How could this not drive everyone mad? There's only 1 Star Lord level treasure, hidden among these thousands of ice pillars. Some people were on the verge of losing control, wanting to break through all the ice pillars to seize the most precious Star Lord level treasure. However, in an instant they calmed down. The people present, who had survived to this point, were extremely calm and brilliant talents. Even though the Star Lord level treasure drove them mad, they knew they absolutely could not violate the rules of the chaotic heavenly hall. After all, in just the 3rd stratum, there was already a Star Lord level treasure here, which absolutely indicated that the creator of the chaotic heavenly hall was a figure of Star Lord level. Such a significant figure's rules and commands, who would dare to defy them? If they truly defied them, it wouldn't just be about breaking through ice pillars to seize the treasure. They'd probably die in the chaotic heavenly hall the moment they violated the rule. These brilliant talents dared not take the risk. It all depends on luck now, to see if we can select the Star Lord level treasure from these thousands. Many thought to themselves. However, what surprised everyone was Hua Tianjue's direct address to them. "I was the one who slew the ice divine grass to let you all enter this stage. To be fair in selecting treasures like in the first cave, I think that's not fair to me or the other peak lords. After all, we've exerted so much effort, and if the Star Lord level treasure were seized by others, I wouldn't accept that outcome. Friend Hongjue, friend Yuan Qingzi, what do you think?" Hua Tianjue's gaze turned cold as he looked at the divine masters and talents below the divine master realm. The overlord Hongjue from Linglong Divine Land was stunned for a moment, but then his eyes shimmered, looking at the lower realm divine masters and talents. Hua is right. If a Star Lord level treasure appears, it should be contended at least among us peak lords. Others aren't qualified. Yuan Qingzi furrowed his brows, looking at Hua Tianjue, voicing his thoughts. "So, what does friend Hua propose?" Hua Tianjue, unaffected by the divine masters and talents below the divine master realm, declared, "It's simple. We've all ventured into the chaotic heavenly hall together, so it's not like I'm denying you a chance. Treasure selection can follow the order like in the first cave. However, those below the Overlord realm must open their storage space for us to inspect if they obtained a Star Lord level treasure. If so, they must hand it over. Indeed, it should be this way." Overlord Hongjue, without hesitation, supported after Hua Tianjue's words. Not just Star Lord level treasures. Even if the Cosmic Emperor level treasure is obtained by those below the Overlord, I think it should be handed over. Yes, Cosmic Emperor level treasures should also be taken by us rulers first. Another Peak Lord from Primordial God Mountain, Situchan, also stepped forward. I agree as well. Another Peak Lord from Linglong Divine Land, Hongyu, voiced her agreement. Under the lure of treasures, the most powerful Peak Lords banded together to suppress Divine Masters and talents below the Divine Master realm. Even Yuan Qingzi, after a moment of hesitation, sided with Hua Tianjue, Hongjue, Situchan, Hongyu, and others against Yichan and the others. Upon hearing that they must open their storage space for the Peak Lords to inspect, the Divine Masters and talents below the Divine Master realm turned pale. The storage space was the most precious and secretive place. Exposing it meant all secrets would be laid bare to these rulers, which the Divine Masters and talents below their level could not accept. A ninefold Divine Master immediately jumped out to oppose. I have no objection to the seniors selecting treasures first, but don't you think inspecting our storage space is overly tyrannical? This ninefold Divine Master came from the first great power, Primordial God Mountain, and was named Ao Ning. No one expected that the request proposed by Hua Tianjue, leader of Primordial God Mountain, would be first opposed by a Divine Master from Primordial God Mountain. This ninefold Divine Master, whether extraordinarily powerful or exceptionally daring, showed no fear facing the united pressure of several Peak Lords in the field. Chapter 1167. The Chaos Cauldron's Tremor. Swish! After Ao Ning spoke, in an instant, the gaze of the Peak Lords present focused on him. At this moment, of the 15 people who had barged into the second treasure cave of the third heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall, there were 6 Peak Lords, 4 Peak Divine Masters, and then Yichan and the other 5 geniuses below the Divine Master realm. The Peak Lords were numerous and the strongest. Their alignment lent an overwhelming pressure. Ao Ning, daring to stand out under such circumstances, was certainly extraordinary. As expected. Initially, Hua Tianjue frowned upon hearing dissent, but when he saw the person objecting was Ao Ning, his expression changed several times and he did not scold him. Instead, he said, Ao Ning, my friend, there's no need to be angry. With your strength, you aptly belong in our Peak Lord ranks, and we wouldn't treat you as a regular Divine Master during exploration. As for the others, Hua Tianjue's gaze turned to the other Divine Masters and those below Divine Master realm. We still have to adhere to the rules, and the treasure taken out must be shown to us. Hua Tianjue directly began to rope in Ao Ning, starting to divide the Divine Master team. Clearly, having secured his interests, Ao Ning was satisfied and did not intend to oppose the 6 Peak Lords truly. Ao Ning's words brought a smile to Hua Tianjue's face. Hua Tianjue turned. His gaze shifted to the others, and said, What about the rest of you? Any objections to this treasure collection arrangement? At this time, not a single Divine Master dared to stand out again. Amid the crowd, Ning Xiaoxiao transmitted to Yichun. Yichun, these lords are too much, demanding we let them inspect our treasures after obtaining them. How is this any different from seizing our treasures? Ning Xiaoxiao was extremely indignant. However, the leader of her team, Overlord Hongjue, did not care for her at all, and she, not daring to stand against them like Ao Ning, could only grumble. Yichun was indifferent to Hua Tianjue's arrangement. The desire of those Peak Lords to inspect the storage space after collection might expose secrets for others, but for Yichun it had no effect. On him, the precious Stars Tower could store his treasures safely. The Stars Tower was genuinely a Star Lord level treasure. Even among Star Lord level treasures, it would rank at the forefront. The contents of the Stars Tower couldn't be probed by the likes of Hua Tianjue, and even the vast majority of Star Lords couldn't fathom it. No matter what Yichen hid, it was unknown to Hua Tianjue. So why would Yichen worry about secrets being exposed? Yichun could only comfort Ning Xiaoxiao upon her enraged words. After all, this world was cruel. Strength was paramount, and with the Peak Lords uniting to seize the finest treasures, he couldn't say much more. What concerned Yi Chun was why Ao Ning could make the peak lords concede. While Yi Chun and Ning Xiaoxiao conversed, another voice entered Yi Chen's ears. Young friend Yi Chun. It was the voice of Yuan Qingzi, the leader of the ancestral god temple team. Senior Yuan. Hearing Yuan Qingzi's transmission, Yi Chun quickly halted his conversation with Ning Xiaoxiao and turned to Yuan Qingzi. Young friend Yi Chun, under these circumstances, the lords all wish to obtain the best items, and I can't oppose them alone. My apologies, young friend. Yuan Qingzi transmitted to Yi Chun. Senior, don't worry. I don't expect the luck to acquire the best treasures. If they wish to inspect, let them inspect. Yi Chun responded to Yuan Qingzi. Upon hearing Yi Chun agree to the treasure collection arrangement without many complaints, Yuan Qingzi also sighed in relief. Yi Chun then asked, Senior Yuan, might I inquire about Ao Ning's background? That Ao Ning is a super genius from Primordial God Mountain. Although only at the ninefold Divine Master realm, his combat power is already near the level of a Cosmic Emperor. More importantly, he is backed by a genuine Cosmic Emperor. Although his combat power can't match Hua Tianjue's, just having a Cosmic Emperor backing him makes Hua Tianjue unwilling to provoke him. Naturally, he dares to stand out, Yuan Qingzi explained. Backed by a genuine Cosmic Emperor.
No wonder.
Yuan Qingzi's words finally helped Yi Chun understand Ao Ning's background. While Yi Chun and Yuan Qingzi conversed, other Divine Masters and geniuses below the Divine Master realm were also communicating with their team's leaders. Without a background like Ao Ning's, after some appeasement, they accepted the treasure collection rules set by the Alliance of Peak Lords. Ultimately, besides Ao Ning, the remaining 3 Divine Masters and 5 geniuses below the Divine Master realm, including the genius Yushindu from Primordial God Mountain and Yi Chun, had to open their storage spaces for inspection by the 6 Peak Lords and Ao Ning after obtaining treasures. However, after a series of communications among the teams, there was a small concession for the Divine Masters and those below their level. If an item obtained from the first treasure cave or a pre-owned Cosmic Emperor level treasure was shown now, they didn't need to be surrendered upon later inspection. The Peak Lords only wanted newly acquired powerful treasures from the second treasure cave. With this rule clarified, to everyone's surprise, Ning Xiaoxiao immediately presented 2 Cosmic Emperor level treasures, while Yushindu also produced 2 Cosmic Emperor level treasures. Even the remaining 3 Divine Masters each produced 1 Cosmic Emperor level treasure. Except for one of Ning Xiaoxiao's Cosmic Emperor level treasures being retrieved from the first treasure cave. The rest of the treasures owned by others were already in their possession. This made Yi Chun wary of the people present. Those who managed to get here indeed had many trump cards. It's likely those Peak Lords had even more precious treasures. Of course, Yi Chun has far more treasures than Ning Xiaoxiao and Yushindu, but with the Stars Tower hiding them, he is not foolish enough to take them out for others to see. Once the treasures and rules were confirmed, the treasure retrieval from the second treasure cave finally commenced officially. Swoosh! When Hua Tianjue was the first to fly into the ice pillar and began using his 2 opportunities for treasure retrieval, all eyes filled with excitement. Even the 3 Divine Masters and the 5 below Divine Master Realm talents, who would have their storage space inspected, were extremely excited. After all, the treasures within the second treasure cave, the lowest level are Overlord level treasures, and the highest could even be Star Lord level treasures. Even though obtaining the highest level Star Lord level treasure might not mean keeping it, as it could be snatched away, witnessing the divine wonders of such treasures is absolutely worthwhile. Moreover, these few individuals were thinking, if they could use the divine might of a Star Lord level treasure to intimidate the overlords present, perhaps they might even keep the treasure in their possession. Even if not, acquiring an Overlord level treasure would definitely be worth it. This, of course, made everyone extremely excited. Boom! Boom! Hua Tianjue's treasure retrieval took only the time of half an incense stick, and after he emerged from both ice pillars, he showed an expression of disappointment on his face. Clearly, he did not obtain that precious Star Lord level treasure. Following Hua Tianjue, it was Overlord Hongjue's turn. Overlord Hongjue flew into the ice pillar with great anticipation, and after retrieving treasures, she showed a mix of disappointment and a hint of joy. She was disappointed that she didn't get the most precious Star-Lord level treasure, but pleased to have obtained a rare Cosmic Emperor level treasure, which was a decent haul. Treasure retrieval continued one by one. Soon, the 6 Peak Lords and Ao Ning completed their treasure retrieval. From the expressions of those in the following group, it was impossible to tell what treasures they had obtained. But it seemed Hua Tianjue had some special divine object able to sense the treasures others took out. He was very certain these individuals did not seize the Star-Lord level treasure, and he focused his gaze on those further back, hoping the upcoming individuals could seize the Star-Lord level treasure for him to snatch. Under Hua Tianjue's watchful gaze, 3 divine masters also began their treasure retrieval one by one. Once they completed their retrieval, their storage spaces were directly inspected by the Peak Lords and Ao Ning in unison. To their disappointment, the 3 divine masters each only obtained 2 Overlord-level treasures, which were not worth robbing. Then it was Yu Shindu's turn. For Yu Shindu, it was uncertain whether his luck was good or bad this time. The 2 treasures he retrieved included 1 Cosmic Emperor-level treasure, which was detected directly in his storage space. Ultimately, this treasure was forcibly taken by Hua Tianjue, who then consoled Yu Shindu, giving him an Overlord-level treasure in exchange. Next was Ning Xiaoxiao. Ning Xiaoxiao also obtained a Cosmic Emperor-level treasure, which was taken by Overlord Hongjue, similarly exchanged for an Overlord-level treasure. Then it was Yi Chen's turn. Yi Chen looked at the thousands of treasure ice pillars in the second treasure cave, took a deep breath, and flew directly into one of them. At this moment, the Star-Lord level treasure had yet to emerge, and all eyes outside were fixed on the ice pillar Yi Chen had entered. Hua Tianjue and the others hoped that Yi Chen would retrieve a good treasure so they could snatch it. If Yi Chen could retrieve a Cosmic Emperor-level treasure, it would be a significant gain. If he obtained the Star-Lord level treasure, it would incite a frenzy for its possession. However, what these individuals did not know was that, upon entering the ice pillar treasure space, Yi Chen was completely unconcerned about the countless eyes staring at him from outside. This ice pillar's treasure space could not be explored from outside. As soon as Yi Chen entered this space, with a flick of his hand, a divine object appeared in his grasp. This was a peculiar small cauldron, about the size of a palm. The cauldron was something Yi Chen had acquired after wiping out the divine soul of that peak Cosmic Emperor in the Ghost Mist. Initially, that Cosmic Emperor was pursued by numerous Cosmic Emperors for this cauldron from the mysterious Chaos Void Chaos Cauldron. The Chaos Cauldron was extraordinarily mysterious. Yi Chen had been unable to open it since he obtained it. Through the sole memory of that Cosmic Emperor, he learned that to open the Chaos Cauldron, one must find the 3 key opening materials: Absolute Divine Fire, 9 Source Water, and Immortal Chaos Wood. Unable to open the cauldron, Yi Chen had kept the Chaos Cauldron with him, never using it, instead utilizing treasures from the Cosmic Emperor's other miraculous treasure, the Refining God Chart. But now, within this treasure retrieval ice pillar, Yi Chen brought out the Chaos Cauldron. What nobody knew, including Yi Chen himself, was that upon arriving at the second treasure cave, as Yi Chen used his origin star aperture cultivated through the Taiyu chapter to sense the precious treasure ice pillars, he directly felt the Chaos Cauldron's vibrations. The Chaos Cauldron responded due to the presence of this ice pillar space. Evidently, this space was intrinsically linked to the Chaos Cauldron. Previously, Yi Chen was worried that others might enter this ice pillar, but among thousands of choices, fortunately, no one else noticed this particular ice pillar. Finally, Yi Chen flew into this ice pillar. Yi Chen was determined to uncover the unique traits of this ice pillar, and why it could even cause the Chaos Cauldron to vibrate. Chapter 1168. Absolute Divine Fire. The interior of the ice pillar treasure space is vast. Moreover, unlike the first treasure cave where the lantern treasure space only contained a treasure box and treasure instruction books, this second treasure space is actually a special spatial world. Yi Chen did not know if the other ice pillar treasure spaces were also such vast worlds. However, inside this space, Yi Chen immediately sensed a boundless ocean and a massive island within it. If it were an ordinary mortal, they might spend their entire life unable to explore the entirety of this ocean and island. But Yi Chun is no ordinary person. Merely by using divine sense, he can fully investigate all the situations within this space. With a movement of his body, he swiftly traversed the endless ocean, flying toward the enormous island above. Upon entering the giant island, Yi Chen's mind and spirit were even more shaken. This was actually a volcanic island. A huge volcanic mouth, like a giant beast, crouched on the island, and beneath the volcano mouth was likely the treasure location of this space. Upon arriving in this space, Yi Chun felt the tremor from the chaos cauldron in his hands. Feeling the dreadful fire powers subtly detectable within this volcano, Yi Chun couldn't help but be emotionally stirred. Could it be? The treasure here is that. Yi Chun knew that opening the chaos cauldron required a strange cauldron opening material related to fire. If such a material truly existed here, it would be an incredibly delightful surprise for Yi Chun. However, the probability of that material being here is exceptionally low. Aren't the 3 cauldron opening materials for the Chaos Cauldron rumored to be found only in the terrifying Chaos Void area of the primal beginning universe far from Blue Gold City? Whoosh! With complex emotions, Yi Chun instantly moved, flying to the mouth of the volcano, then directly heading into its depths. The fire powers within the volcano gave Yi Chun a staggering intuition. Yi Chun, who cultivated the change of devouring fire, could comprehend even cosmic emperor-level fire powers. Yet at this moment, he found the fire powers within the volcano mouth completely beyond his comprehension. Fire powers surpassing those of a cosmic emperor. That could only be at the Star Lord level of power. Could the treasure here be a Star Lord level treasure? Yi Chun could hardly believe it. But the closer he walked below the volcano, the stronger Yi Chun felt this sensation. After all, the Chaos Cauldron is something all peak cosmic emperors covet, undoubtedly a Star Lord level divine object, and the fact that the Chaos Cauldron trembles because of something here indicates a likelihood of Star Lord level items being here. Reflecting on the voiced announcement in this second treasure cave of numerous treasures, including 1 Star Lord level treasure, it seemed possible the volcanic cavern did hold such a treasure. Thankfully, this place is a treasure retrieval area, and the treasures here seem specially crafted not to harm the treasure retriever. Otherwise, without resorting to a Cosmic Emperor life-saving scroll, I wouldn't even be able to step into this volcanic cave. Yi Chun kept musing as he walked deeper into the volcano. The space inside the volcano wasn't naturally formed but seemed man-made with countless mysterious diagrams carved into its stone walls. Yi Chun couldn't decipher these diagrams. Nonetheless, Yi Chun deeply imprinted these diagrams in his mind, even specifically using a jade slip to copy them onto it. Perhaps the secret of these diagrams would be immensely useful. Yi Chun might one day understand them. The whole diagram comprised 9 separate panels, which Yi Chun painstakingly copied and memorized entirely before reaching the bottom of the volcanic cavern. Upon stepping into this lowest space, Yi Chun directly saw, at the base of the volcano, a fierce purple flame burning in the deepest part of the mouth. The moment the purple flame appeared, the chaos cauldron in Yi Chen's hand inadvertently moved, flying from Yi Chen's hands to hover above the purple flame. Then, a breathtaking sight unfolded. Yi Chen's chaos cauldron, which he had never been able to control, emitted an intensely brilliant star glow, gradually expanding to envelop the purple flame entirely. Surprisingly, the purple flame appeared to possess great sentience, and upon sensing the star glow from the Chaos Cauldron, it didn't resist but floated within the glow merrily. In its movements, the purple flame's powers surged wildly. Even with the Chaos Cauldron's star glow barrier, Yi Chun felt the potent force within, surpassing all his cosmic emperor-level treasures. This purple flame turned out to truly be a Star Lord-level treasure. It indeed possessed Star Lord-level powers. More astonishingly, although the purple flame wielded Star Lord-level power, it seemed to completely submit before the Chaos Cauldron. As the star glow of the Chaos Cauldron entirely enveloped the purple flame, it was directly drawn toward the cauldron alongside the starlight. Yi Chun watched the Chaos Cauldron unblinkingly. When Yi Chun obtained this small cauldron, he noticed that the lid of this 4-legged cauldron was tightly fastened and couldn't be opened. The strange characters carved on the cauldron body were not the universally used script of the cosmic sea and the major universes, and he couldn't understand them at all. Even the mist wrapped around the cauldron was extraordinarily mysterious, more so than the chaos Qi Yi-chun had absorbed before. At this moment, seeing the purple flame being absorbed by the chaos cauldron and flying towards the cauldron mouth, Yi-chun couldn't help but feel immensely hopeful, wanting to see if the chaos cauldron absorbing this purple flame would open the lid. However, unexpectedly for Yi-chun, when the purple flame was absorbed and flew next to the chaos cauldron, it didn't directly fly towards the cauldron mouth, but instead merged into the mist outside the chaos cauldron. The cauldron mouth remained tightly closed, showing no signs of wanting to open, and at the moment when the purple flame touched the mist of the chaos cauldron, an inexplicable sense of divine consciousness directly transmitted into Yi-chun's mind. After the transmission of this divine sense, Yi-chun stared at the faintly visible purple flames in the mist with wide eyes. Absolute divine fire. This purple flame turned out to be absolute divine fire. The divine sense just now informed Yi-chun that the absolute divine fire, one of the 3 materials for cauldron opening, had been found, and only 2 more materials were needed to open the chaos cauldron. This clearly indicated that the purple flame was the absolute divine fire. This made Yi-chun both shocked and delighted. Shocked because Yi-chun had learned from the divine soul of the deceased cosmic emperor that the 3 materials for cauldron opening, absolute divine fire, 9-source water, and immortal chaos wood, were said to only be found in the chaos void. Yet now, the absolute divine fire was found within the treasure space of the 3rd level of the chaotic heavenly hall, located in the unknown area of the 13th chaos zone, under the Blue Gold City territory. Could this mean that the 13th chaos zone has some relation to the chaos void? Or does the chaotic heavenly hall have a connection with the chaos void? The chaos void is extremely far from the territory governed by the 36 great forces. How can this Blue Gold City, just a tiny part of their territory, have any relation to the chaos void? However, instantly Yi-chun thought of something. The cosmic emperor who originally obtained the chaos cauldron managed to escape the pursuit of many cosmic emperors and transmit from the ancient teleportation divine formation in the chaos void to the interior of the 13th chaos zone, which indicates that the chaos void is definitely related to this 13th chaos zone. Under such circumstances, the appearance of absolute divine fire, exclusive to the chaos void, within the 13th chaos zone isn't impossible. Startled by this possibility, Yi-chun's heart calmed a little. Meanwhile, Yi-chun became even more determined to cultivate his powerful thoughts. After all, if the 13th chaos zone is related to the chaos void, then perhaps other territories are too, and maybe the entire primal beginning universe might have inexplicable connections. Under such circumstances, maybe countless powerful beings could teleport to various places using ancient teleportation divine formations, drastically increasing the chances of encountering danger and conflict. Only by having a mighty force can one be more stable within the primal beginning universe. As his mind raced, Yi-chun finally revealed a joyful smile on his face. After all, this chaos cauldron looks extraordinary. Now that one of the 3 materials for cauldron opening is finally found, Yi-chun felt a bit more confident about successfully opening the chaos cauldron. All right, it's time to retrieve the 2nd treasure. The first treasure being a Star Lord level treasure that greatly aids in opening the chaos cauldron is definitely a huge stroke of luck. The 2nd treasure cave contains only 1 Star Lord level treasure, so it seems unlikely to encounter other materials for cauldron opening. However, this absolute divine fire hidden in the mist outside the chaos cauldron, while it's a Star Lord level divine object and temporarily unable to be used due to lack of ownership, somehow feels faintly like the chaos cauldron makes this absolute divine fire somewhat more congenial to me. After sensing the absolute divine fire within the mist of the chaos cauldron, Yi-chun smiled slightly and then stored both the chaos cauldron and the absolute divine fire back into the star's tower. Whoosh! The next moment, Yi-chun directly adhered to the spatial rules and flew out of the first ice pillar treasure space. As soon as Yi-chun emerged, the gaze of Hua Tianjue and others gathered on him. Still no Star Lord level treasure aura. Hua Tianjue sensed the treasure aura around Yi-chun and then showed a disappointed look. I told you we all couldn't obtain Star Lord level treasures. Expecting those of lower realms to find the best treasure is too improbable. Yi-chan simply ignored the looks from these people. He hadn't finished retrieving the 2 treasures yet, so these people wouldn't search his storage space for now. Yi-chan directly flew into the second ice pillar treasure space. Inside this second ice pillar space was also a special world, but unlike the space where the absolute divine fire was located, this was a forest world. Finally, Yi-chan directly obtained the treasure within the forest, a cosmic emperor-level attack treasure, stabbing star cone. Yi-chan's 2 attempts yielded 1 Star Lord-level treasure and 1 cosmic emperor-level treasure. If others were aware of this, they would absolutely be shocked to the point of jumping up. But these people didn't know that Yi-chan wasn't randomly retrieving treasures. The Star Lord-level treasure, Absolute Divine Fire, was entered by the tremor of the Chaos Cauldron that led Yi-chan to it. As for the Cosmic Emperor-level attack treasure, Stabbing Star Cone, it was because Yi-chan perceived the space star aperture within the location, feeling that the treasure in the second ice pillar space was extraordinary and therefore entered. Yi-chan obtained both divine objects through his own abilities. Of course, the second treasure, the Stabbing Star Cone, Yi-chan also stored inside the star's tower. Before exiting the second treasure space, Yi-chan hid all the precious treasures within the star's tower, leaving only an extreme heaven-grade storage space containing several Overlord-level treasures and hundreds of Divine Master and Sovereign-level extreme heaven-grade treasures within the storage space. Then Yi-chan directly flew out of the second treasure space, returning to the treasure cave. Chapter 1169. A Choice of Life or Death. When Yi-chan once again flew out of the ice pillar treasure space and returned to the second treasure cave, all eyes once more focused on him. Upon sensing that Yi-chan still did not carry the aura of a Star Lord level treasure, Hua Tianjue's expression turned extremely grim. However, he still said to Yi-chan indifferently, "Open your storage space and let us search it." Hua Tianjue's kind of sensing wasn't completely accurate. He needed to see with his own eyes to be truly reassured. As Hua Tianjue spoke up, the other entitled ones like Overlord Hongjue, Overlord Hongyu, Situ-chan, Yuan Qingzi, and Ao Ning surrounded Yi-chan. Yi-chan had already seen such a situation before when others ahead were searched for their storage spaces. Yi-chan didn't say much either. With a simple movement of his hand, a storage space appeared in his palm, and he proceeded to open it, allowing these powerful figures to inspect it. Hua Tianjue and the others rudely extended their divine senses into the storage space, scanning through each treasure inside. Yi-chan even felt that aside from Yuan Qingzi and Situ-chan, who had a decent relationship with him and did not conduct extra searches, the others not only scanned the storage space but also thoroughly searched his body, trying to see if he had any hidden storage space within. This feeling of being probed by others was extremely unpleasant. Yi-chan's expression also turned cold. If I were strong enough, why would I bother hiding treasures? Even if they were outside, they wouldn't dare probe me even slightly. However, amidst the grim expression, Yi-chan sneered inwardly. He could sense that no matter how Hua Tianjue and others searched, they couldn't detect the star's tower in his qi. This kind of divine object was simply beyond their perception. After a thorough search yielded nothing, Hua Tianjue and the others finally gave up. They waved their hands, allowing Yi-chan to retreat to one side. Then, they looked towards the next sovereign-level genius who was to retrieve the treasure and said, "You go fetch the treasure too." The sovereign-level genius stepped out and flew into an ice pillar. After Yi-chan stepped aside, Ning Xiaoxiao quietly approached his side. Ning Xiaoxiao transmitted her voice to Yi-chan. "Yi-chan, the upcoming treasure hunt might not go smoothly. If possible, we should just leave the chaotic heavenly hall and head outside." Yi-chan understood what Ning Xiaoxiao meant. This was only the second treasure cave, and the level of treasures had already increased to at least Overlord level, with the highest even reaching Star Lord level. Those powerful overlords had already started making moves to seize the treasures. As for the third treasure cave, the treasures will probably be even more precious, and those overlords will directly fight for them. The only chance to seize the treasure in the last treasure cave If even the minimum level treasure rises once more to reach Cosmic Emperor level, those overlords would definitely not let it pass. For Yi Chun and Ning Xiaoxiao, it meant there was essentially no chance to take the treasure. Moreover, the guardian demon at the second treasure cave was already at the peak overlord level, so the guardian at the third treasure cave would likely be even more terrifying. Whether they could even reach the third treasure cave was still uncertain. Under such circumstances, it was understandable for Ning Xiaoxiao to want to leave the chaotic heavenly hall. However, although Yi Chun could foresee that the upcoming treasure hunts would not be easy, he was not willing to give up. If he didn't have so many backup plans, perhaps he wouldn't continue to press on. But now, with enough aces up his sleeve, this mysterious place called Chaotic Heavenly Hall in the Primal Beginning universe was so magical that Yi Chun of course wanted to explore it. This opportunity was extremely rare. There might be a long time ahead without another chance to explore such a mystical place for treasures. Such an opportunity must be seized. Yi Chun also wanted to see if there were any more precious treasures ahead, or perhaps he might encounter another divine object capable of awakening the Chaos Cauldron, or even a chance to advance his realm like in the first layer of heaven. Yi Chun would certainly not give up. Hua Tianjue and the others didn't even have the right to make him give up. The upcoming challenges probably won't be simple. Yi Chun responded to Ning Xiaoxiao. But I'm not planning to give up just yet. Ning Xiaoxiao looked at Yi Chun incredulously. She could tell that Yi Chun had surely anticipated the dangers and the overlord's keen watch. In such circumstances, to say he hadn't thought of it would make sense for continuing, but if he had thought of it and still decided to press on, it would either mean he was too greedy or he had absolute confidence. Too greedy? From watching Yi Chun navigate the hurdles and breakthroughs at the ancient mountain earlier, Ning Xiaoxiao could tell Yi Chun wasn't a person driven by greed, but did things with absolute assurance. This meant that Yi Chun was confident of handling any dangers that may arise. The upcoming threats were likely to be of Cosmic Emperor level, weren't they? He might even clash with those peak overlords, and yet Yi Chun felt capable of handling it? Ning Xiaoxiao clearly remembered that earlier when those overlords demanded Cosmic Emperor level treasures, Yi Chun didn't produce any. In such a situation, Yi Chun could still handle it? Ning Xiaoxiao found herself more and more unable to understand Yi Chun. However, after all, Ning Xiaoxiao and Yi Chun were just passing acquaintances, and Ning Xiaoxiao could see that Yi Chun didn't want her to meddle too much. In the end, Ning Xiaoxiao could only tell Yi Chun to be careful. The treasure gathering continued. Soon, the last two sovereigns' treasure gathering also ended completely. One sovereign only obtained 2 overlord-level treasures, while the other obtained 1 Cosmic Emperor-level treasure and 1 overlord-level treasure. This last Cosmic Emperor-level treasure was snatched by Situ Chun. The treasure hunt in the entire second treasure cave finally came to a complete end. This time, it seemed that besides Yi Chun, no one else was truly delighted. Although Hua Tianjue and others obtained Cosmic Emperor-level treasures, they couldn't get the most precious Star Lord-level treasure, leaving them quite frustrated. And the remaining few either had their hard-earned Cosmic Emperor-level treasures snatched away, or only obtained Overlord-level treasures, and weren't too thrilled either. At this moment, it was finally time to explore the third treasure cave on the third layer of heaven. After the treasure gathering ended, Hua Tianjue strode forward, heading directly towards the passage behind the second treasure cave, and the others followed suit. A few who hesitated began looking for any opportunity to leave the chaotic heavenly hall. Perhaps the creator of the chaotic heavenly hall knew that the last treasure cave was a more terrifying life-and-death trial. As many expected, while they were still on their journey, not having truly reached the passage of the third treasure cave, an opportunity to leave appeared ahead. After walking for about half a cup of tea's time, an ancient teleportation formation and a light gate appeared ahead. At the same time, 2 advisory stone tablets were placed beside the ancient teleportation formation and the light gate. According to the stone tablets, the ancient teleportation formation leads outside the chaotic heavenly hall. If you want to leave, just enter the ancient teleportation formation. The light gate, however, serves as the entrance to the passage to the third treasure cave. The stone tablets advised that the danger level of venturing into the third treasure cave would dramatically increase. Without absolute confidence, One should either not venture in or be prepared for death. This warning greatly changed the expressions of those who were already hesitant, and others didn't look too pleased either. Even Hua Tianjue, with combat power at the Cosmic Emperor level, couldn't guarantee being able to get past the guardian demon of the third treasure cave. After all, the demon in the first treasure cave was at the peak Divine Master level, while the demon in the second was at the peak Overlord level. Following this pattern, the demon in the third treasure cave is very likely to be at the peak Cosmic Emperor level. Even if not following this rule, the demon in the third treasure cave surely reaches the Cosmic Emperor level. The danger inside is self-evident. At this moment it was a crossroads of choices. Either venture further or leave. Seeing the two advisory stone tablets, Hua Tianjue turned and said to the others, "You all see the instructions here too. I won't say more. I will just remind you that the upcoming danger is something you'll have to handle personally. If you die in the danger, don't blame us for not helping. No matter what you choose, I am going to continue pressing forward." Having said that, Hua Tianjue solemnly stepped directly into the light gate and entered the exploration entrance of the third treasure cave. Seeing Hua Tianjue take action, others also made their decisions one after the other. Overlord Hongjue and Overlord Hongyu, the sovereigns of Linglong Divine Land, gritted their teeth and entered the light gate directly. Sovereign Situ Chan, Yuan Qingzi, and even Ao Ning, a powerful peak Divine Master. These formidable figures also didn't give up and chose to continue forward. However, among the remaining 3 Divine Masters, 2 chose to give up, one of whom was Divine Master Yuan Feng, who was in the same group as Yi Chun. They left the chaotic heavenly hall using the ancient teleportation formation. Below the Divine Master level, talents made their choices. Yu Xindu hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth, and also stepped into the light gate. Ning Xiaoxiao and Yi Chun exchanged a glance but chose to leave. The 2 sovereigns behind even chose to leave before Yi Chun did. Finally, the only one left to make the choice was Yi Chun. Yi Chun looked at the light gate, stared for a moment, then directly stepped into the light gate. 15 people were still alive. In the end, 6 great overlords, Ao Ning, another divine master, along with Yi Chun and Yu Xindu, a total of 10 people decided to continue exploring. The remaining 5 left straightforwardly. Only 10 entered the passage to the third treasure cave to begin their expedition. As Yi Chun stepped into the light gate, the next moment he came directly into a new passage. By this time, the 9 who entered the light gate before him, like Hua Tianjue and others, were out of sight. However, Yu Xindu hadn't gone too far. Perceiving that someone else had entered the passage through the light gate, Yu Xindu was taken aback and turned to look at Yi Chun. When discovering that it was Yi Chun who chose to continue exploring, Yu Xindu was stunned. He hadn't expected that Yi Chun, who hadn't previously obtained a Cosmic Emperor level treasure, would have the courage to venture into the third treasure cave, which likely reached the Cosmic Emperor danger level. Chapter 1170. Poison and Killing. Originally, Yu Xindu speculated that he might be the only genius below the Divine Master realm daring enough to venture into the third treasure cave passage. Even if there were exceptions, at most Ning Xiaoxiao, who similarly had 2 Cosmic Emperor level treasures, would enter. However, Yu Xindu had no idea that Yi Chun would follow him into the passage. Instead, Ning Xiaoxiao didn't enter. This made Yu Xindu extremely surprised. Even though Yu Xindu already knew Yi Chun might be even more of a genius than him. After all, no matter how talented, if the strongest combat power isn't enough, one shouldn't risk life and death. However, everyone had already taken action, and Yu Xindu wouldn't pretend to be polite to Yi Chun and others anymore. After a slight stirring in his heart, Yu Xindu directly continued forward, without any intention to act together with Yi Chun. In Yu Xindu's mind, he wouldn't shield Yi Chun in the slightest from the great dangers of the third treasure cave passage. Instead, he secretly hoped Yi Chun would perish in this passage. After all, if Yi Chun dies, he would more securely occupy the position of the top genius among the low realm talents in Blue Gold City. At the end of the passage, Yu Xindu glanced back, then continued forward without hesitation, which Yi Chun saw clearly. This Yu Xindu, it seems he doesn't want to pay attention to me, and even hopes I won't survive the dangers of this third treasure cave passage. Yi-chun could easily guess Yu Shindu's thoughts. Yi-chun smiled slightly, indifferent to Yu Shindu's actions. Since he dared to venture into the third treasure cave, he never expected to rely on others. Yi-chun himself was confident in passing this challenge. Of course, even though he was confident, Yi-chun wasn't careless at all. Anyway, even if one enters the third treasure cave, they can only choose one treasure. The number of selectable treasures is fixed. There's no need to rush. Yi-chun walked unhurriedly behind, observing the surroundings carefully and vigilantly. After advancing about several kilometers, suddenly, Yi-chun sensed a dangerous aura approaching. This is... Yi-chun's face changed, his hand formed a spell, and a strange light enveloped his body. Following this, Yi-chun saw a barely perceptible green gas begin drifting towards his position. Poison! The defensive power didn't hinder Yi-chun from observing the green gas that gave him a sense of danger. Upon inspection, Yi-chun instantly realized the terror of this green gas. It was actually a terrifying toxin he had never seen before. Yi-chun had once acquired the medical canon and toxic scripture. Even without reaching the cosmic emperor level, they still gave Yi-chun tremendous understanding of toxins. Yi-chun could sense that even though the green toxin was currently faint, it could erode or kill ordinary divine masters and even weaker masters. If Yi-chun hadn't activated a defensive divine treasure from the refining god chart, based on his current combat power and defensive strength alone, he probably couldn't walk far in the green toxin. Yi-chun looked towards the deeper part of the passage, where an inexplicable force of divine sense obscured vision, preventing far exploration. However, even if he could only probe a few dozen feet, Yi-chun could feel that the deeper he went, the more terrifying the green toxin became. Yet, he hadn't reached the third treasure cave yet, and he had to keep moving forward. After a moment of contemplation, Yi-chun's finger moved, activating another defensive divine treasure that again enveloped his body. This defensive divine treasure was specially designed to counter toxins from the refining god chart, far more valuable than the prior one Yi-chun activated. With the new defensive divine treasure in place, Yi-chun cautiously continued forward. This toxin seems off. After walking another several hundred meters, Yi-chun glanced at the now thick green toxin around him, his face suddenly changing. Yi-chun felt almost instantly that the toxin not only corroded him, but also subtly influenced his divine soul. If Yi-chun's divine sense weren't unusually powerful, and his defensive divine treasure didn't inherently defend against divine soul attacks, he might have been unaware when his divine sense was disrupted by the toxin. This made Yi-chun even more alarmed. Clearly, the toxin in the third treasure cave is far from simple. If one weren't careful, they could fall into divine soul madness. This led Yi-chun to activate defensive power for the third time. A protective divine light from a divine soul defensive divine treasure was also added to his body. If anyone saw Yi-chun's defensive divine light, they would be astonished. Yi-chun simply had too many treasures to use. However, these people would never have guessed that Yi-chun, as an immortal divine venerable, even possessed the wealth of a peak cosmic emperor. Yi-chun remained unharmed in the toxic fog, but others weren't so lucky. As Yi-chun continued not far forward, he directly heard a painful roar coming. It's the voice of Yu Shindu. Yi-chun looked ahead and directly saw that Yu Shindu was now covered in a dense divine light, obviously having activated a powerful defensive divine treasure to defend against the toxic gas. However, it was clear that he had been careless, and the toxic gas had already seeped into his divine soul, affecting it. At this moment, Yu Shindu seemed to have gone mad, desperately attacking all around. Even though there was nothing there, he continued to attack frantically. The effect of this green toxic gas on the divine soul is unexpectedly terrifying. Seeing Yu Shindu's state of madness, Yi-chun couldn't help but feel a heaviness in his heart. Yi-chun didn't know how much of Yu Shindu's divine soul remained clear, fearing it might only be 1 or 2/10. As Yi-chun looked at Yu Shindu ahead, seemed either affected by the toxic or had a last sliver of awareness, suddenly stopped attacking, turned his eyes sharply, and looked towards Yi-chun.
Yi-chun.
Yu Shindu looked at Yi-chun, completely unharmed, utterly incredulous. Suddenly, his eyes turned a fierce red, and he roared at Yi Chen, "Impossible! I couldn't withstand the corrosion of this toxic gas on my divine soul. How could you be completely unaffected?" At this moment, Yu Shindu was immensely envious of Yi Chen. Yu Shindu could already feel the corrosion of the toxic gas on his divine soul, as if it were a soul-corroding poison, which he could not eliminate. That last sliver of clarity was likely to be completely devoured soon. By then, he feared he would lose his divine soul entirely, genuinely erased by the toxic gas. Yu Shindu couldn't accept this outcome. Yu Shindu did not want to believe that he, the strongest genius sent to Blue Gold City of the primal beginning universe, ranked #1 in the universe governed by primordial God Mountain, would die in this chaotic heavenly hall. Why? Why can't my cosmic emperor-level life-saving scroll resist this toxic gas's corrosion on my divine soul? Why am I dying here while Yi Chen, whose realm is far beneath mine, is fine? The last sliver of clarity in his divine soul didn't allow Yu Shindu to think of a way to survive. Of course, he had no way to think of it, and in his final madness, he couldn't hold back his killing intent towards Yi Chen, deciding that even if he died, he would drag Yi Chen along with him. With this thought, Yu Shindu moved like lightning, directly driving the power of the cosmic emperor-level divine treasure within him towards Yi Chen. The power not only contained that of Yu Shindu's cosmic emperor-level life-saving scroll, but also drove out the power of another cosmic emperor-level treasure. Yu Shindu intended to kill Yi Chen, even if it meant his own death. Yi Chen never expected this final madness from Yu Shindu would target him. Seeing Yu Shindu's frenzied state and formidable killing force, Yi Chen snorted coldly, his face suddenly turning stern. He had been considering whether to help Yu Shindu, but with Yu Shindu acting like this, Yi Chen wouldn't hold back. "Think of harming me? I'm afraid your wish will fall through." Yi Chen instantly surged with the vast, extreme power of a cosmic emperor level, a force countless times stronger than Yu Shindu's attack. Yu Shindu only had 2 divine treasures with cosmic emperor level power, but Yi Chen had many times more divine treasures than Yu Shindu. He had the assets of a peak cosmic emperor, though many treasures were inconvenient to reveal in front of others. Since only Yu Shindu was present, Yi Chen had no fear of exposing his treasures. Boom! Under the detonation of Yi Chen's formidable divine treasure power, it directly collided with the incoming force of Yu Shindu's attack, creating a completely unbelievable scene for Yu Shindu. As he was knocked back thousands of meters by Yi Chen's power, Yu Shindu was utterly submerged in the dense green toxic gas, like a sea of green. His divine soul was completely corroded in an instant. Before his last sliver of clarity faded, Yu Shindu's divine soul could only think of one thing. Why, when the Peak Lords examined Yi Chen earlier and found no cosmic emperor-level treasures on him, could he unleash such terrifying cosmic emperor-level power? This Yi Chen is a monster. Yu Shindu only had time to say this one sentence before his entire divine soul was completely consumed, and his being utterly died. Yi Chen had initially thought that after Yu Shindu, submerged in toxic gas, died, his divine soul would be completely taken by the toxic gas, becoming a toxic zombie-like living dead. But when Yi Chen arrived beside Yu Shindu's corpse, he was utterly surprised. The green toxic gas, after killing Yu Shindu's divine soul, did not cause any mutation in Yu Shindu but instead seemed completely uninterested in him, using the toxic gas to start corroding his entire body. In just a few breaths, Yu Shindu's entire body had already rotted, becoming riddled with holes, with green slime oozing out. As Yi Chen watched Yu Shindu's body for a moment, it was entirely corroded into a puddle of green water. Seeing Yu Shindu, hailed as the #1 genius among the low-realm talents arriving at Blue Gold City, die in such a manner, Yi Chen couldn't help but shake his head. Yu Shindu's final attack on him only hastened his death. It was his comeuppance. However, a great genius falling like this was absolutely brutal. Recalling the dead Peak Cosmic Emperor and other challengers who died in the chaotic Heavenly Hall, Yi Chen understood that treasures and death coexist, and to seize treasures, one must always be prepared for death. To survive, one must absolutely have the power to survive. Chapter 1171. the Great Terror. Of the 10 strong emergents who entered the passage to the third treasure cave, 9 remain. Yi Chun sighed for a moment, then stepped over the corpse of Yu Shindu and proceeded onwards. Ahead, the green toxic mist grew increasingly terrifying, its lethality having already reached the Cosmic Emperor level. Without protection from a Cosmic Emperor level treasure, one would absolutely not make it this deep, and even with such protection it might not be completely safe. Yu Shindu is a prime example. Without a treasure to defend against the corrosive soul toxins, even with a Cosmic Emperor level treasure, one could still have the mist seep into their divine soul and perish. It was only because Yi Chun possessed many treasures that he dared to delve this deep. However, Yi Chun was also secretly alarmed at this moment. This was only the third heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall, and it was this terrifying. The chaotic heavenly hall had 9 heavens in total. How terrifying could the 4th, 5th, and even the most precious 9th heaven be? What level would the treasures inside be? Who on earth created this chaotic heavenly hall? There are already Star Lord level treasures within the 3rd heaven. Doesn't that mean that the subsequent heavens likely contain more Star Lord level treasures? There are simply too many Star Lord level treasures in this chaotic heavenly hall. Considering this possibility, Yi Chun took a deep breath. The chaotic heavenly hall, 9 heavens, are related to the Chaos Void Heaven. Only things like the absolute divine fire exclusive to Chaos Void Heaven. All these suggest that the chaotic heavenly hall is extraordinary. Unfortunately, Yi Chun's strength is still far from enough. Now exploring up to the 3rd treasure cave of the 3rd heaven, he already feels a strong sense of crisis. Clearly, with his current strength, he cannot explore all 9 heavens of the chaotic heavenly hall completely. Yi Chun even suspected that even the weaker Star Lords might not be able to explore the entire chaotic heavenly hall. Perhaps, like the Chaos Void Heaven, the chaotic heavenly hall is also an incredible place. With his heart shaken, Yi Chun suddenly stopped in his tracks. Not far ahead, Yi Chun saw another puddle of green water. This green water was identical to the green water produced when Yu Shindu's body was corroded by the toxic mist after his death. Clearly, another strong person had died ahead. But it was unclear exactly who had died. Of the 10 who entered the passage of the 3rd heaven, only 8 remain. What terrified Yi Chun even more was that after walking roughly a few hundred meters further, the green toxic mist ahead had thickened to resemble a sea of green fog. And directly in front, Yi Chun saw 2 more puddles of green water. 2 more people had died ahead. It must be noted that out of the 10 people who entered the channel to the 3rd treasure cave, aside from Yi Chun and Yu Shindu, there were only 2 divine masters, and the remaining 6 were masters. By now, including Yu Shindu, 4 people have died. This indicates that among the 4 deceased, there were certainly masters. Which master has died? The 6 great overlords are all peak lords. Their daring to venture into the 3rd channel surely means they have some confidence provided by having Cosmic Emperor level treasures. For them to die in such circumstances proves the peril of this place. Indeed, as the 2 previous stone tablets warned, the 3rd treasure cave harbors great terror and danger. Luckily, Ning Xiaoxiao and the others gave up on exploring here. Otherwise, they might have also died here. There are 6 people left. Besides me, only 5 others are alive. In Yi Chun's mind, images of Hua Tianjue, Situ Chun, Hongjue, Hongyu, Yuan Qingzi, Ao Ning flashed by. Just among the strong ones he knew, there were more than 5 people. Clearly, some among those Yi Chun thought of have already died. This 3rd treasure cave is the last chance to acquire treasures. If I can't obtain extraordinary treasures, then this big adventure would be a huge loss. I must be extremely cautious and not let my guard down even a bit. Otherwise, many of my trump cards might fall into an inescapable trap. Seeing those who perished turning into green water firsthand made Yi Chun's heart grow numb, and he proceeded with increasing caution. To Yi Chun's slight relief, after walking several hundred meters further, he didn't see any more dead bodies. It seemed those still alive had formidable trump cards in hand, and the danger of the green mist hadn't claimed their lives yet. Why is this passage to the 3rd treasure cave so long? Even though he didn't see more people die, Yi Chun furrowed his brows more and more as he walked. By now, the length of the passage he's traversed has far surpassed the passage lengths of the previous 2 treasure caves. Yet he still hasn't seen the guardian demon of the 3rd treasure cave, making Yi Chun's heart uneasy. Yi Chun gathered all his mind and spirit and pressed onward. This time, without going far, Yi Chun finally heard the sounds of battle coming from afar. Guardian demon! It seems we are finally approaching the entrance to the 3rd treasure cave. Yi Chun's mind was invigorated, and he hurriedly moved forward. After a short distance, Yi Chun could finally see the scene ahead clearly. The sight before him shocked Yi Chun to the point of disbelief. He saw, in front of him, a green beast towering on the ground, likely thousands of feet high. This green beast had countless arms stretching to their limits, with thick green mucus flowing on them, looking extremely disgusting. At this moment, there were 5 figures fighting against the green beast. Yi Chun immediately recognized these 5 figures, and they were Hua Tianjue, Situ Chan, Hongjue, Yuan Qingzi, and Ao Ning. Obviously, these 5 people were the only ones still alive. The others, like Overlord Hong Yu and others, had all perished. The green liquid Yi Chun had seen earlier was apparently the remains of Hong Yu and the others. At this time, Hua Tianjue and the 5 others were fiercely battling the green beast. All 5 of them relied on treasures or unleashed their own power, erupting with cosmic emperor-level killing force. But the green beast was terrifying beyond measure, able to contend against all 5 without losing ground. In fact, the green beast even had the strength to spare, as it sensed Yi Chun's arrival before Hua Tianjue and the others did. The green beast spoke towards Yi Chun. "Oh, another one is here? And it's an immortal divine venerable youth. For an immortal divine venerable to make it here, it seems you are quite extraordinary." Immortal divine venerable youth? Upon hearing the words of the green beast, Hua Tianjue and the others immediately withdrew from battle, all looking in Yi Chun's direction. And upon seeing it was indeed Yi Chun, Hua Tianjue and the others showed expressions of disbelief. They never expected Yi Chun to have entered the 3rd treasure cave passageway. They couldn't imagine that Yi Chun could have survived and made it this far, especially the peak divine master Ao Ning, who had been moving with Overlord Hong Yu, had personally witnessed Hong Yu die in the green poison gas. If it hadn't been for the unparalleled treasures he had, he likely wouldn't be alive now. Even the mighty Overlord Hong Yu had perished, yet a mere immortal divine venerable like Yi Chun made it here, which unsurprisingly shocked Ao Ning to the extreme. This youth has a big secret. He has cosmic emperor-level divine light on him, which we didn't notice during our earlier inspection. At that moment, everyone understood that Yi Chun, this youth whom they had already seen as extraordinarily talented, was even more terrifying than they imagined, with secrets far beyond their expectations. In an instant, Hua Tianjue even thought, perhaps the Star Lord level treasure in the 2nd treasure cave was taken by this youth. Otherwise, he couldn't have come this far. Hua Tianjue at this moment couldn't help but think of conducting a complete soul search on Yi Chun, to learn all his secrets. Unfortunately, at this moment he, along with the remaining powerful ones, were constrained by the green beast, with no extra energy to deal with Yi Chun. Even if they wanted to deal with Yi Chun, they had a premonition that to have come this far and to have exposed his cards, Yi Chun must have confidence. Otherwise, he surely wouldn't reveal so many secrets in front of everyone. Yi Chun saw the expressions of Hua Tianjue and the others when they looked at him and understood what they were thinking. Aside from Yuan Qingzi's astonished look, the others looked at him as if gazing upon a great treasure, including even Situ Chan, who had been polite to him earlier. Yi Chun knew that these people were absolutely intent on uncovering his secrets. Of course, Yi Chun dared to come here and dare to expose cosmic emperor-level treasures because he was prepared. During this chaotic Heavenly Hall action, Yi Chun already knew there was a great opportunity, and he certainly wanted to seize it well, even if it meant exposing his trump cards, to strive for as much benefit as possible now. If Hua Tianjue dared to take action against him, he wouldn't mind letting Hua Tianjue and the others perish here. Even if, after going out, Hua Tianjue wanted to deal with him, he would have the means to respond. Yi Chun even had the thought that if the gains this time were enough, He would leave Blue Gold City directly and venture into other regions of the primal beginning universe. Seeking Jiangyao and Long Li would also be a good plan. He absolutely wouldn't give other strong ones the chance to capture him. In Yi Chen's mind, whether these few could survive the crisis of the third treasure cave was still unknown. With each group of the 6 holding their own thoughts, the green beast once again spoke towards Yi Chen. Youth, having made it here means you'll be given an opportunity to enter the treasure cave just like the others. As long as you can dodge my defense and enter the cave, you can claim the treasure. As the green beast spoke, it turned its body, revealing a treasure cave behind it, flashing with divine light. The moment the green beast revealed the cave, Hua Tianjue and the others flew towards it rapidly. Yet the green beast had anticipated this. Upon seeing their actions, it let out a mocking laugh, and countless arms moved through the void, blocking them all and continuing to attack. Even more, a dozen of the green beast's arms suddenly reached across the void, simultaneously attacking Yi Chen. At this moment, facing the green beast's attack, Yi Chen's mind and spirit were racing. From what this beast says, I don't need to kill it to enter the cave. Just dodge its defenses and enter the cave to claim the treasure. The green beast before him was terrifying beyond measure. Clearly, killing it would be no easy task. However, avoiding its defenses and entering the cave, that was relatively much easier. Chapter 1172. Heavenly God's Wrath, Part 1. As Yi Chen's mind and spirit rapidly processed the situation, the attack of the green giant beast had already reached him. The arms of this green giant beast were extraordinarily long, adorned with countless odd protrusions resembling spikes. Coupled with its fearsome hand infused with formidable divine power, all its arms combined into a net of lethal force, aiming to obliterate Yi Chen. Such an attack could not be withstood without cosmic emperor-level power. As the green giant beast attacked Yi Chen, the other powerful individuals under attack also glanced at Yi Chen. They wanted to see how this young immortal divine venerable, Yi Chen, would defend against such a beast's onslaught. At that moment, Yi Chen saw the terrifying attack descending, yet his expression remained calm and unperturbed. He grasped with his large hand. Whoosh! 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 Instantly, a sword formation flew out from Yi Chen's body, flashing before him in an instant. This sword formation created a fearsome killing force, slashing toward the green giant beast's arms. The killing force surged with a power even stronger than the combined strength of the green giant beast's many arms. Amidst the surging killing force, the green giant beast sensed the danger. Astonished, it looked at Yi Chen, hastily withdrawing its arms, realizing the terrifying power driven by Yi Chen's sword formation, which could cut them off if it wasn't careful. Yi Chen repelled the green giant beast's attack with just one move. This scene left Hua Tianjue and the other 4 utterly shocked. Even for them, dealing with the green giant beast wasn't as easy as it was for Yi Chen. At this moment, Yi Chen was enveloped by 3 defensive divine lights, each at the cosmic emperor level. Additionally, the sword formation's attack divine light was gleaming. All combined, Yi Chen was utilizing for cosmic emperor treasures. For cosmic emperor level treasures. Even when Hua Tianjue and the others were in the lower or middle dominion stage, they didn't have such wealth. Yi Chen, a mere immortal divine venerable, possessed so many treasures, which left the 5 of them utterly astonished. This immortal divine venerable didn't rely on Star Lord level treasures to break into this place. He actually has so many cosmic emperor level treasures. Hua Tianjue had originally thought Yi Chen had eluded his detection with Star Lord level treasures to reach this place. Now, seeing Yi Chen wielding 4 cosmic emperor level treasures instead of using Star Lord level ones, Hua Tianjue's heart churned violently. Hua Tianjue was relieved that Yi Chen didn't have Star Lord level treasures, making him easier to deal with. However, Hua Tianjue was puzzled as to how Yi Chen managed to evade his detection without Star Lord level treasures. Did he possess some divine skills specifically for concealing treasures that could evade even his scrutiny? Nevertheless, he didn't have time to ponder further. The green giant beast, repelled by Yi Chen, seemed enraged. With a roar, its massive body grew even more, beginning to transform from several thousand feet tall to a 10,000-foot giant beast. Even more terrifying, its countless green arms multiplied, thick as webs, seemingly covering the entire heavens and earth. Even more frightening, as the green giant beast roared, it spewed more green gas, these gases far more toxic than the ones that killed the four powerful ones earlier. At its sudden emergence, Yi Chun and others sensed something amiss. The giant beast is launching an even more horrifying attack. We cannot hold back any longer. We must deal with it with full force and swiftly enter the treasure cave. Almost instantaneously, with the green giant beast's transformation, countless web-like arms shot at Hua Tianjue, Yi Chun, and everyone. Simultaneously, the dense green poison gas completely engulfed the ambience, threatening to devour everyone. At this juncture, Hua Tianjue and others dared not hold anything back. They could no longer afford to conceal anything in front of others. Everyone realized that to get past this hurdle, they must reveal their true trump cards. Boom! In an instant, Hua Tianjue erupted with overwhelming flames. This flame was more terrifying than the one he used to kill the guardian demon of the second treasure cave. It was a fire he had never unleashed before. Yi Chun sensed this flame and was deeply moved. This was actually a flame radiating cosmic emperor-level power. One could only wonder how Hua Tianjue acquired such a precious flame. Whoosh! 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 After igniting the flame, it swiftly enveloped Hua Tianjue completely. He appeared as a flaming giant god, directly confronting the countless arms of the green giant beast's attack. On another front, the first Dominion Overlord Hongjue from Linglong Divine Land also took action. Yi Chun had never seen this person make a move before, and this time, Overlord Hongjue truly demonstrated her strength to Yi Chun. With just a flick of her wrist, a red ribbon unfurled from her body, inscribed with countless mysterious symbols, each seemingly depicting a monster. Buzz. When the red ribbon was activated by Overlord Hongjue, with divine light flashing on it, more than 100 monsters flew out from within the ribbon. Each monster exuded the power of a cosmic emperor level. Even though the combat power of these monsters was only at the weakest first star tribulation cosmic emperor level, the combined strength of these hundreds of monsters was definitely terrifying. They actually coordinated and immediately began to operate a monster grand formation, directly protecting Overlord Hongjue within, while simultaneously channeling their power to strike at the green beast. This Overlord Hongjue surprisingly had a cosmic emperor-level monster army, hidden within a single divine treasure. And then there were Situ Chun, Yuan Qingzi, and Ao Ning. Situ Chun immediately activated a treasure that looked like a lotus platform, enveloping himself entirely. As the lotus platform spun, it emanated extremely sharp streaming lights that attacked the green beast. Yuan Qingzi's attack was equally formidable. He directly activated a sword formation that was not at all weaker than the one Yi Chun had activated previously, and it even appeared stronger in attack power. All these great masters had aces up their sleeves. As the green beast's attacks grew more powerful, they all brought out even stronger techniques. Even the ninefold divine master Ao Ning unleashed a gigantic beast resembling a qilin, which defended him while tearing at the numerous arms attacking from the green beast. The 5 strong figures each used their means, frantically battling the green beast. At this time, Yi Chun, like these 5 people, was also facing the even more terrifying attacks of the green beast. However, Yi Chun did not share the intent of these 5 to continue fighting the green beast desperately. He had no idea how many aces others had, but Yi Chun himself still had aces up his sleeve. As long as he could slip past the green beast's defenses and into the treasure cave to take the treasure, there was no need to fight the green beast to the death. Of course, Yi Chun would not waste the power of his treasures needlessly. Just make use of the ace to enter the treasure cave. Thinking of this, seeing Hua Tianjue and the others engaged in fierce combat with the beast, a gleam flashed in Yi Chun's eyes. At the same time, Yi Chun suddenly vanished from the void, as if Yi Chun had never even appeared there. Yi Chun's sudden disappearance shocked the green beast greatly. Divine light flashed in its eyes, as if it was using a divine eye skill to seek out the concealed Yi Chun. However, no matter how much the green beast searched, it couldn't sense Yi Chen's presence at all, as if Yi Chun had completely vanished from his original spot. This situation startled the green beast deeply. As if it realized something, its body suddenly leaned backward, trying to completely block the entrance to the treasure cave behind it. But it was too late. At the very moment it reacted, a beam of extreme divine light already flashed at the entrance of the treasure cave. Clearly, someone had already entered the third treasure cave. In the field, only Yi Chun had disappeared. Clearly, the one who entered was Yi Chun. How did you manage to evade my detection and enter the treasure cave? Seeing Yi Chun revealing himself as divine light only after entering the treasure cave, allowing himself to be seen, the green beast couldn't believe it and roared at Yi Chun. At this time, inside the treasure cave, Yi Chun also revealed his form. He heard the words of the green beast but paid no attention. I don't need to explain anything to you. As long as I can get the treasure in the treasure cave, that's enough. Yi Chun then strode deeper into the treasure cave. The green beast had no idea that Yi Chun had used an invisibility divine treasure, the primordial god garment, from the refining god chart of a peak cosmic emperor. This primordial god garment could evade all cosmic emperor level detection. Back then, that peak cosmic emperor used this treasure to snatch the chaos cauldron and escape the pursuit of many cosmic emperors. Unless there's a Star Lord level treasure that specializes in breaking invisibility, the movements of the primordial god garment can't be detected. No matter how strong this green beast was, it hadn't reached the Star Lord level and naturally couldn't see through Yi Chen's movements. Yi Chen's successful entry into the treasure cave filled the green beast with extreme fury. This green beast began a frenzied transformation once again. Its combat power surged explosively. This time, it even morphed into a state resembling an ochre-red, burning spirit beast. At the moment when the green beast transformed in its rage, its entire combat power reached its peak. Suddenly, numerous brown-red spikes, each several dozen zhang long, grew on its many arms. These spikes stabbed directly toward Ao Ning's position, striking down the Qilin-like beast protecting Ao Ning on the spot. Simultaneously, some of the brown-red spikes on other arms, in an instant when Ao Ning couldn't possibly have anticipated it, pierced into Ao Ning's body. Ao Ning couldn't react at all. His physical body and divine soul were completely obliterated on the spot. One of the 6 remaining survivors was killed again. The green beast's frenzy, combined with Yi Chun entering the treasure cave, created a moment of change that left the remaining few dumbstruck. They realized that the crucial moment had arrived and knew that if they hesitated any longer, they might completely fall behind in taking treasures from the treasure cave. At this moment, all their eyes turned red. Hua Tianjue suddenly let out a cold snort, and his entire body began to emit dazzling white light, as a divine treasure resembling a divine whip appeared outside his body. As this divine treasure appeared, even Overlord Hongjue exclaimed in shock, "Wrath of the celestial god, Tian, Hua Tianjue, you even got this treasure in your hands. Why didn't you take it out earlier to deal with this beast?" Chapter 1173, Ancient Plate, Golden Lamp, Azure Scroll. Wrath of the celestial god? The startled cry of Overlord Hongjue drew the attention of Situ-chan and Yuan Qingzi nearby. Upon seeing the divine whip-like treasure in Hua Tianjue's hands, both Situ-chan and Yuan Qingzi were equally shocked. From the expressions of these overlords, it was clear that the divine treasure wielded by Hua Tianjue carried an incredible divine might within it. Brother Hua, quickly use Wrath of the celestial god to deal with this green beast. With it, we can all enter the treasure cave. In his shock, Situ-chan remembered something and shouted excitedly toward Hua Tianjue. Overlord Hongjue and Yuan Qingzi both looked at Hua Tianjue with equal excitement. Clearly, everyone believed that with this Wrath of the celestial god, divine treasure, they could defeat the green beast before them. However, what Overlord Hongjue, Situ-chan, and Yuan Qingzi didn't expect was that after activating the Wrath of the celestial god, Hua Tianjue sneered coldly towards the 3 remaining people and said, "I've said before, Retrieving treasures relies on one's own abilities. If your skills are lacking, don't greedily covet the treasures of the third treasure cave. Taoist friend Ao Ning has already perished at the hands of this beast. If I help you with treasures, wouldn't it be unfair to Taoist friend Ao Ning? Everyone is left to their own fate. I'm going ahead. Having said that, Hua Tianjue directly drove the wrath of the celestial god towards the green beast. As soon as wrath of the celestial god touched the green beast, it emitted an incredible divine power, forcing the beast to retreat half a step. Seizing this chance, Hua Tianjue moved swiftly and followed Yichun, flying into the third treasure cave. At the same time, Hua Tianjue didn't linger with the wrath of the celestial god to hold off the green beast. He did not bring anyone else into the third treasure cave. Even though Overlord Hongjue, Situ Chan, and Yuan Qingzi rushed towards the treasure cave, they were still blocked outside by the green beast pouncing back. At this moment, the last 6 who reached the front of the green beast included Yichan and Hua Tianjue, who had already entered the third treasure cave, Ao Ning, who had perished, and only Overlord Hongjue, Situ Chan, and Yuan Qingzi, the 3 peak lords, were left blocked outside. Seeing Yichan and Hua Tianjue enter the third treasure cave, the remaining 3 became anxious. At this moment, Situ Chan and Yuan Qingzi showed acute worry, clearly feeling that with their abilities and remaining cards, they were likely unable to surpass the obstruction of the green beast before them. However, on the other side, Overlord Hongjue did not display anxiety, but rather appeared to have made a resolute decision. No more waiting. In the first treasure cave, the guarding demon was at Divine Master level, and the lowest tier of treasures was also Divine Master level. In the second treasure cave, the guarding demon was elevated to Overlord level, and the lowest tier of treasures also reached Overlord level. Now, in this third treasure cave, the guarding demon is a terrifying Cosmic Emperor level, indicating that the treasures inside the third treasure cave are likely at least Cosmic Emperor level. Moreover, Star Lord level treasures already appeared in the second treasure cave, so they are even more likely to appear in the third one. In this situation, I absolutely cannot fall behind. I must break into the third treasure cave. Hua Tianjue even used a trump card like Wrath of the Celestial God. I can no longer hold back, otherwise, I will never enter the third treasure cave. It's time to bring out my most precious treasure. Boom! After a quick mental decision, Overlord Hongjue seemed to have finally made up her mind. She extended her hand, and suddenly, a palm-sized, snow-white 7-petal lotus divine treasure appeared in her hand. Once this lotus divine treasure appeared, it spun with a swift gleam, tearing through the entire space. Instantly, Overlord Hongjue vanished from the void, and in the next moment, she bypassed the green beast's blockade as if traveling through space-time and entered the third treasure cave. From the moment Overlord Hongjue activated the divine treasure to the moment she entered the treasure cave, it was all in the blink of an eye. However, Situ Chan and Yuan Qingzi's keen eyesight allowed them to clearly see the treasure in Overlord Hongjue's hand. 7-leaf black lotus, a top-tier spatial treasure. The 7-leaf black lotus, almost reaching the Star Lord level of divine treasures. Wow! Even Hongjue has such an incredible treasure in her possession. Although the 7-leaf black lotus cannot match Wrath of the Celestial God in attack, its spatial abilities are even more mysterious. Situ Chun and Yuan Qingzi were incredibly jealous of Hongjue and Hua Tianjue. The two were filled with endless regret. Hongjue and Hua Tianjue were already stronger than them, and now, having broken into the third treasure cave, they were likely to gain colossal rewards, while the two could not enter the third treasure cave at all. This gap might cause them to fall completely behind Hongjue and Hua Tianjue forever, with no chance of catching up. Of course, this envy and regret lasted only a moment before the two couldn't afford to think further. Now, Yichan, Hua Tianjue, and Hongjue all successfully gained entry into the treasure cave. To the green beast in charge of guarding it, this was an utter disgrace, and it had already reached the peak of its fury. Its unchecked rage poured out upon Situ Chun and Yuan Qingzi. Instantly, the two were completely engulfed by endless toxic fumes. In the third treasure cave, whoosh, As soon as Yi-chan entered the third treasure cave, a cluster of divine light immediately appeared above his head. Seeing nothing else in the third treasure cave except this divine light cluster, Yi-chan was extremely surprised. Could it be that the third treasure cave has only this one divine treasure? No choices needed. Just take the treasure directly? Yi-chan tried to communicate with the divine light cluster, only to find that he could not enter it, nor even inspect its contents. Clearly, it was still not the time to take the treasure. Boom! While Yi-chan was continuously probing the divine light cluster, attempting to acquire the treasure, he suddenly heard a loud crash. Following that, Yi-chan saw Hua Tianjue enveloped by a powerful divine power, also rushing into the third treasure cave. Whoosh! At the instant Hua Tianjue appeared, another cluster of divine light emerged over the heads of both Yi-chan and Hua Tianjue. Yi-chan stared at the newly appeared Hua Tianjue, and then at the newly formed divine light cluster. His heart stirred suddenly. Could it be that, with each person who enters, a new treasure appears? Yi-chan observed, as Hua Tianjue, who had just entered the treasure cave, realized that this third treasure space only contained 2 treasures, equally surprised. However, he didn't attempt to take the treasures, but instead looked at Yi-chan with malicious intent. Murderous intent surged in his eyes. Clearly, he had the desire to kill Yi-chan and closely examine what secrets Yi-chan might be hiding. Hua Tianjue was truly eager to find out why Yi-chan, this humble immortal divine venerable, possessed so many treasures. As Hua Tianjue's gaze turned hostile, Yi-chan's eyes cooled. What? Does fellow Hua wish to make a move against me? Yi-chan showed no fear of Hua Tianjue, not even bothering to address him as a senior, instead confronting Hua Tianjue directly, utterly fearless. Evidently, if Hua Tianjue intended to strike, Yi-chan wouldn't hesitate to test him too. Yi-chan's icy demeanor made Hua Tianjue's gaze contract suddenly, and then he looked at Yi-chan more deeply. Hua Tianjue could see that Yi-chan showed no fear, and it was not a facade, which meant Yi-chan definitely had a more formidable ace up his sleeve. Hence he was not afraid. This made Hua Tianjue immediately quell his murderous intent and weigh his options. As the two faced off coldly, buzz, suddenly the void shook. Another figure burst in through the entrance of the third treasure cave. Overlord Hongjue. This was, shockingly, the figure of Overlord Hongjue, who had relied on the 7-leaf black lotus to enter the treasure cave. Overlord Hongjue saw Yi-chan and Hua Tianjue face off coldly and was momentarily taken aback, then noticed that upon her entrance, a third divine light cluster appeared in the air with a whoosh, where there had only been 2. It seemed indeed that the treasures within this third treasure cave appeared based on the number of people. 1 person resulted in 1 treasure appearing. Now with 3 people, 3 treasures directly appeared. When all 3 treasures appeared, the scene quickly grew silent again. Hua Tianjue, Overlord Hongjue, and Yi-chan faced each other, puzzled as to how to acquire the treasures in this third treasure cave. Bewildered as to why this cave lacked the prompt sounds for treasure taking unlike the previous 2 caves. The silence lingered a moment. Finally, it was Overlord Hongjue who broke the silence. She glanced at Hua Tianjue and Yi-chan, seemingly realizing something, and chuckled, addressing them. I underestimated fellow Hua's preparations, and also underestimated this young friend Yi-chan's dread. However, none of that matters now. Since we've all entered this third treasure cave, based on the stone slab hints earlier, within this third cave, each of us has only 1 chance to take a treasure. So, we need not fight internally anymore. Let's conserve our energy for treasure acquisition and getting through the higher heavens. Dear friends, what do you think of my suggestion? Overlord Hongjue surprisingly decided to mediate the tense standoff between Yi-chan and Hua Tianjue. Overlord Hongjue's words made Hua Tianjue's gaze flicker. Then Hua Tianjue snorted coldly. Since everyone made it here, it proves we have abilities. With abilities, of course, comes the right to take treasures. Fellow Yi-chan, you needn't worry about my confronting you. Let's use our skills to acquire treasures instead. Hua Tianjue's words caused Yi-chan to smile. Though Yi-chan didn't believe Hua Tianjue at all, he responded, Let's all take our treasures then. With 3 individuals, the atmosphere within the treasure cave surprisingly calmed down. At this moment, Hua Tianjue and Overlord Hongjue acted similarly to how Yi Chun had earlier, attempting to communicate with the 3 divine light clusters above to acquire treasures, but no matter how they tried, they couldn't obtain anything. As the 2 and Yi Chun were beginning to understand this 3rd treasure cave less and less, suddenly, the prompt for treasure acquisition finally sounded within the cave. It seems nobody can enter the 3rd treasure cave anymore, meaning only 3 people have the chance to take treasures. From the sound's implication, the remaining Situ Chun and Yuan Qingzi outside stood no chance of entering the 3rd treasure cave, either dead or meeting some grim fate. Hua Tianjue and Overlord Hongjue obviously gathered this information from the sound, their expressions shifting before turning indifferent. Evidently, more than the safety of Situ Chun and Yuan Qingzi, the 2 cared about what the sound would say next about acquiring treasures in the 3rd treasure cave. Yi Chun heard this sound, and his heart grew exceedingly complex. Nevertheless, Yi Chun had to suppress extraneous thoughts. Because the sound continued, 3 individuals have the right to acquire treasures, so only 3 treasures will randomly appear in the 3rd treasure cave. Each of you can select only 1 treasure. Now, the prohibition is lifted. You may choose your treasures. Boom, boom, boom. As the sound faded, the 3 divine light clusters in the void suddenly split open, revealing within them 3 dazzling treasures. Yi Chun, Hua Tianjue, and Overlord Hongjue looked skyward, sighting 3 treasures appearing in the void. A round ancient plate suitable for sitting, a golden lamp, and a closed scroll emitting a green light. Chapter 1174. The Death of Hongjue. Among the 3 treasures, the ancient plate looks the most mysterious, engraved with countless intricate patterns and words, clearly extraordinary at first glance. Yi Chun even vaguely feels that this ancient plate might have some connection to the chaos cauldron in his hand, as the text on it seems somewhat similar, likely sharing a common origin. In contrast, the golden lamp and the closed scroll emitting a blue light seem weaker than the ancient plate. However, even if they are slightly weaker, these 2 treasures are still exceptionally precious, clearly unmatched by other ancient treasures. Yi Chun, Hua Tianjue, and Hongjue, the 3 treasures in the void. Each person can only seize 1 treasure. Under this rule, at the instant they saw the 3 treasures, all 3 naturally wanted to snatch the obviously most precious ancient plate. This could very well be a Star Lord level treasure. I must get my hands on it. Hua Tianjue was almost the first to flash in the void, directly grasping for the ancient plate. Yi Chun also swiftly changed his stance, flying towards the ancient plate. However, no matter how fast Hua Tianjue and Yi Chun were, they couldn't match Hongjue Overlord's speed. Originally, among the 3 treasures, the ancient plate was closest to Hongjue, and Hongjue Overlord also had the space-enhancing divine treasure 7-leaf Black Lotus, which boosted her spatial travel speed. Almost at the moment the voice announced the prohibition removal, Hongjue Overlord had already made her move, seizing the ancient plate first. Seeing Hongjue seize the ancient plate, Hua Tianjue's expression turned extremely ugly. Yi Chun merely shook his head slightly, giving up on the competition. He looked at the 2 remaining treasures, pondering whether to quickly seize another one. At this time, Hongjue Overlord, who had obtained the ancient plate, wielded it in her hand, enveloped completely by waves of divine light. Within that light, it seemed as if an inexplicable divine sound was explaining the mysteries of the ancient plate to her. The more she listened, the more excited Hongjue Overlord became, finally exclaiming in an incredible surprise, "This divine treasure is powerful to such an extent. I must immediately cultivate and use this divine treasure to impact my realm." Boom! Hongjue Overlord directly surged her divine power into the ancient plate. Then, something that stunned Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue occurred. The ancient plate, upon Hongjue Overlord's infusion of divine power, emitted a cylindrical sky-piercing divine light, enveloping Hongjue Overlord in the process. This cylindrical divine light had immense defensive power, making Hua Tianjue and Yi Chun feel the terrifying force emanating from it, as if daring to touch it would result in instant death. Clearly, Hongjue Overlord had already unlocked the ancient plate's mystery and began channeling it. Hongjue wants to use the ancient plate to cultivate and impact her realm? Could this treasure enhance one's realm? Recalling Hongjue Overlord's earlier delighted exclamation, Hua Tianjue's expression became even gloomier. Originally, Hua Tianjue had hoped to seize the treasure from Hongjue Overlord later, but now it seemed the treasure had been used immediately upon Hongjue's acquisition. The treasure itself exhibited astonishing defensive capabilities that he could not break through, leaving him no opportunity to intercept Hongjue. Furthermore, Hongjue was already on equal footing with him in terms of power. If Hongjue breaks through the realm and steps into the Cosmic Emperor level from the Peak Lord level, coupled with this clearly formidable ancient plate treasure, she might completely crush Hua Tianjue. This situation certainly left Hua Tianjue immensely frustrated, regretting that he hadn't seized the ancient plate first. At this moment, seeing Hongjue Overlord begin to use the ancient plate seemingly for cultivation, and recalling Hongjue's words about impacting her realm earlier, Yi Chun was equally astonished. Yi Chun remembered that within the chaotic heavenly hall's first layer of heaven, the ancient mountain capable of enhancing realms had helped him break through from a heavenly divine venerable to an immortal divine venerable, raising his realm slightly. Now, this ancient plate seemed much more mysterious than the breakthrough ancient mountain of the past. After all, this was the ultimate treasure of the treasure cave on the third layer of heaven, certainly more precious than the ancient mountain on the first layer. In such a situation, if the ancient plate is indeed an item of breakthrough, it would definitely enhance more than one level of realm. Could it be that Hongjue Overlord intends to use this treasure to break through to the Cosmic Emperor stage, becoming a Cosmic Emperor of the First Star Tribulation, or even reach the Second Star Tribulation, Third Star Tribulation of Cosmic Emperor? At this point, Yi Chun, just like Hua Tianjue, was extremely focused on the ancient plate in Hongjue Overlord's possession, even setting aside the urge to compete for the remaining two treasures. After all, the two remaining treasures appeared similar, and each person could only choose one treasure. Without a definite target, neither Yi Chun nor Hua Tianjue felt rushed. The two were instead curious to see how far Hongjue Overlord could break through using the ancient plate. Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue's thoughts were entirely disregarded by Hongjue Overlord. At this moment, Hongjue Overlord's mind and spirit were fully absorbed into the ancient plate. This is a great divine artifact. I must seize this rare opportunity. Within the cylindrical defensive divine light, Hongjue Overlord followed the ancient treasure's instructions, placing the ancient plate on the ground, sitting cross-legged atop it. Then, instantly, endless starlight erupted from the ancient plate, directly infusing into Hongjue Overlord's divine body. Something that shocked both Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue happened. In almost an instant, the two felt that the divine power on the Overlord Hongjue in front of them began to surge madly. Even in a very small space, within the cylindrical divine light, it seemed that endless divine tribulations had already begun to descend upon Overlord Hongjue. The ancient plate seemed to carry a special ability to break through space on its own, helping to elevate Overlord Hongjue's divine power and even triggering divine tribulations, assisting Overlord Hongjue's breakthrough. Overlord Hongjue had already begun to advance from Peak Lord towards the Cosmic Emperor stage. In an extremely short time, practically in the stunned gazes of Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue, Overlord Hongjue had successfully broken through to the Cosmic Emperor realm, becoming a first-star tribulation Cosmic Emperor. It hadn't stopped. This breakthrough was far from over. Sitting cross-legged on the ancient plate, Overlord Hongjue continued to absorb endless divine power from it, pulling in all the comprehension of rules needed for the breakthrough to the Cosmic Emperor, absorbing everything in entirety. Then, another divine tribulation descended. Boom! At this moment, Overlord Hongjue once again broke through from the first star tribulation Cosmic Emperor to the second star tribulation Cosmic Emperor. This breakthrough shocked both Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue to their cores. One must know that the breakthrough of a Cosmic Emperor is vastly different from that of a divine venerable, sovereign, divine master, or master. Each star tribulation breakthrough of a cosmic emperor is extremely difficult, and many cosmic emperors cannot advance even a tiny step for their entire lives. Overlord Hongjue actually broke through from the Peak Lord level to the second star tribulation cosmic emperor level in such a short time. How could this not be absolutely shocking? At this moment, even Hua Tianjue was thinking of quickly grabbing a treasure and leaving first. Hua Tianjue had a premonition that the Overlord Hongjue, who continuously broke through, with rapidly soaring combat power, might now possess strength far beyond his own. If Overlord Hongjue were to develop the intention of killing for the treasure, it would be a great trouble for him. While Hua Tianjue's mind and spirit were extremely stirred, Yi Chun beside him, observing the rapidly ascending realm of Hongjue within the cylinder, increasingly felt something was off. Yi Chun noticed that Hongjue, who was seated on the ancient plate elevating her realm, didn't appear to be in a state of joy. Instead, she showed an expression of fright on her face, as if she was trapped in a gigantic problem. The realm was soaring, yet there was fear instead of delight. This made Yi Chen's heart suddenly skip a beat. Could it be that Overlord Hongjue couldn't stop the breakthrough? Yi Chun looked into Overlord Hongjue's eyes and found that her eyes had turned completely red, as if engulfed in boundless pain. At this moment, Yi Chun did not know that Overlord Hongjue's divine sense was already in complete terror. Just earlier, after breaking through to the first star tribulation, a voice from the ancient plate asked if she wanted to continue breaking through. At the time, overwhelmed with joy, she directly replied that she wanted to break through, to reach the highest realm. Instantly, she was propelled towards the second star tribulation cosmic emperor stage in the breakthrough. Once she successfully broke through to the second star tribulation cosmic emperor, Overlord Hongjue wanted to stop the breakthrough. After all, her divine body and divine soul could only bear the extent of this breakthrough. To forcibly push further might destabilize her realm, bringing hidden dangers to her future cultivation. However, what Hongjue didn't expect was that she couldn't stop. The ancient plate seemed to continue following her earlier command, aiding her to keep breaking through to the highest realm. In this scenario, almost in the terrified expression of Hongjue, her entire being surged into the third star tribulation level. At this level, Overlord Hongjue already felt that, even though she had astonishing power within her, she could no longer control it. It was as if a universe was about to explode inside her. After all, this was an externally infused power, not her own power, nor was it from external treasures. Her foundation was only able to bear the level of a second star tribulation cosmic emperor as its limit. The level of the third star tribulation had already far exceeded her limits. The endless rules, the mastery of infinite power, even almost bursting Hongjue's divine soul. Stop, stop now. Finally, within the cylindrical divine light, Overlord Hongjue even screamed out in terror. But within the light beam, Overlord Hongjue's breakthrough continued. At this moment, she had even begun advancing from the third star tribulation cosmic emperor towards the Star Lord level. Overlord Hongjue wanted to escape from the ancient plate, but she was already bound by endless divine power, unable to free herself from the constraints of the ancient plate. This transformation left Hua Tianjue, who was previously planning to take treasures and escape, dumbfounded. Hua Tianjue looked at Hongjue, who was terrified to the extreme within the cylindrical defensive divine light, displaying a look of utmost incredulity. The cylindrical defensive divine light was originally to prevent Hua Tianjue and Yi Chun from affecting Hongjue's cultivation. Now, it seemed to have become Hongjue's cage, and Hongjue, within the cage, infused with endless divine power, was terrified to the limit, screaming in horror to the extreme. Under the intensely shocked gazes of Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue, Hongjue once again breached from the third star tribulation cosmic emperor level to the Star Lord level. But at this moment, Hongjue's physical body and divine soul were already unable to withstand it. Boom! It was as if a universe exploded, or as if a starry sky vanished. Yi Chun and Hua Tianjue could only see that within the endless divine light infusion, Hongjue's previously immensely powerful body, in the end, couldn't suppress these divine powers anymore and directly exploded, finally being completely washed away into nothingness within the cylinder. Even Hongjue's divine soul turned into countless shadows flickering, ultimately being entirely washed away and disappeared. Hongjue, who underwent a great breakthrough, actually died in the midst of the breakthrough. With a clang. Once Hongjue was completely annihilated and dead, inside the cylinder there only remained the ancient plate, which seemed to also sense the disappearance of the person cultivating on it. After a soft sound, it vanished from the spot. In the third treasure cave, only the dumbfounded Yichun and Hua Tianjue were left, along with the two treasures hanging in the air yet to be picked: the golden shining lamp and the scroll emitting blue light. Chapter 1175. The Death of Hua Tianjue. Hongjue just died like that, breaking through to the Star Lord realm. Such a miracle seemed to be nothing more than a fleeting moment of glory. At this moment, Hua Tianjue looked at the completely vanished Hongjue and the ancient plate divine treasure, feeling a chill down his spine. Just a moment ago, Hua Tianjue was immensely envious of Hongjue, envious of her acquiring the ancient plate and continuously breaking through the realms. But Hua Tianjue never imagined that Hongjue would die like this, right in front of his eyes. The ancient plate, which could crazily enhance the realm, actually took Hongjue's life. Hua Tianjue was utterly terrified. If it had been him who acquired the ancient plate, wouldn't it mean that the one who died might have been him? Thinking of this, Hua Tianjue looked at the two remaining treasures in the void with a bit of fear. He didn't know if the remaining two treasures would also lead him to death. Suddenly, a shocked Hua Tianjue, as if realizing something, directly cast his gaze at Yichun. "Yichun, you go first to choose the treasure," Hua Tianjue said coldly to Yichun. From Hua Tianjue's words, it was clear that he wanted Yichun to take the risk first before he decided on his next move. In fact, Hua Tianjue had even more thoughts of killing Yichun. If Yichun chose a treasure and also fell under its influence, leading to his death, that would be one thing. But if Yichun survived and successfully obtained a treasure, Hua Tianjue certainly wouldn't let Yichun walk away with it. With Hongjue no longer there to balance the scales, not only did he want to seize Yichun's treasure, but he also wanted to unravel the big secret hidden on Yichun. "Is fellow Hua commanding me?" Upon hearing Hua Tianjue's cold words, Yichun, who was also somewhat shocked by Hongjue's death, immediately frowned and spoke to Hua Tianjue. With Hongjue dead, Yichun knew Hua Tianjue would no longer hide his malicious intentions. Of course, previously, Yichun was not afraid of Hua Tianjue, and he still wouldn't fear him now. "If I want to choose a treasure, I will. If not, I won't. There's no need for fellow Hua to command me." Yichun glanced at Hua Tianjue, then turned his head, observing the two treasures in the air without any intention of choosing first. Yichun's words made Hua Tianjue furious. "Yichun, don't think that just because you've got a few cosmic emperor-level treasures and fought your way here, you have the right to look down on me." Hua Tianjue threatened Yichun. "If you don't honestly choose a treasure, I don't mind killing you first, then refining your corpse for my use." By that time, even if you wanted to beg for mercy, it would already be too late. Hua Tianjue's threats made Yichun snicker disdainfully. "Kill me first? Let's see if fellow Hua has the skill." Yichun was directly confrontational, really not shedding tears until seeing the coffin. Hua Tianjue, seeing Yichun's attitude, knew this kid wouldn't follow his arrangement to test the treasure first. Having been repeatedly refuted by Yichun, Hua Tianjue no longer had the desire to waste words with him. He just wanted to kill Yichun quickly, refine his corpse, and see if he could use the corpse to retrieve the treasures. Thinking of this, Hua Tianjue clapped his hand. Boom! A cluster of flames suddenly appeared in the void, striking at Yichun at an incredible speed. This flame was, indeed, the cosmic emperor-level flame Hua Tianjue had used to battle against the mutated green beast earlier. Yichun had already sensed the terrifying nature of this flame earlier. Yichun didn't expect that Hua Tianjue would attack him with this flame right off the bat. Of course, even knowing the terrifying nature of this flame, Yichun showed no fear. Instead, Yichun was interested in observing the flame more carefully. Therefore, Yi Chun did not bring out any other treasures to counter Hua Tianjue but directly used the defensive divine treasure on him to resist Hua Tianjue's attack. When the flame unleashed by Hua Tianjue collided with the defensive power on Yi Chun, it created an earth-shattering explosion and a terrifying blast wave. It was fortunate that this treasure cave was crafted by a great divine practitioner and was unaffected by such battles. If it were in an ordinary universe outside, this strike would shatter a piece of the star continent. In the midst of the terrifying flame assault, Yi Chen's defensive power completely withstood Hua Tianjue's attack, and he even had time to use his change of devouring fire's mysterious sense to grasp the wonder of this flame.
Yi Chen sease alarmet Hua Tianju gritli.
Hua Tianjue hadn't imagined that Yi Chun would so effortlessly defend against his attack. The defensive divine treasure on Yi Chun was clearly more powerful than he had anticipated. Having already engaged in battle, Hua Tianjue certainly wouldn't give up halfway. The powerful treasures on Yi Chun made his desire to kill him even more intense. Whoosh! Hua Tianjue stretched out a hand and directly retrieved the flame to his side, then pinched a spell with his hand, enveloping himself in the flame, transforming into a giant flame god, and charged towards Yi Chun. Hua Tianjue no longer directly used the flame to strike at Yi Chun, but instead enveloped himself in it to unleash the strongest attack state of the flame. This attack state, Yi Chun had seen it before. Back when Hua Tianjue fought the furious green beast, it was in the strongest attack state. However, Yi Chun similarly showed no signs of concern at this moment. He could sense that his defensive treasure could definitely withstand this level of attack. Bang! 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 Hua Tianjue, like a giant god of flames, pounced toward Yi Chun, but Yi Chun remained completely still. Bathed in the divine light, Yi Chun stood like a towering pillar, unmoved by Hua Tianjue's attacks. Yi Chun didn't even intend to counterattack, simply watching Hua Tianjue's assault leisurely, comprehending the flame power on Hua Tianjue. Yi Chen's actions made Hua Tianjue feel humiliated. After all, as a peak lord, driving a powerful flame divine treasure, he couldn't even kill an immortal divine venerable, who didn't even budge under his attack. This was simply a mockery of his combat power. Hua Tianjue had understood that Yi Chen's defensive divine treasure was definitely not an ordinary cosmic emperor-level treasure. It was clearly mightier than his flame divine treasure. In this situation, relying solely on the flame divine treasure was not enough to kill Yi Chun. Even the other treasures he had might not be able to shake Yi Chun. This Yi Chun is so bold. It turns out he has such a level of defensive treasure. However, does he think these are my only means of attack? At this moment, the enraged Hua Tianjue's expression suddenly darkened, and his entire body began to emit a blinding white light. A divine whip-like treasure directly appeared in his hand. Wrath of the Celestial God. This was clearly the strongest treasure Hua Tianjue had relied on to break into the treasure cave earlier. Wrath of the Celestial God. Upon taking out this treasure, the previously calm Yi Chen's expression immediately changed. Yi Chun could feel the terror of this treasure. This didn't seem to be an ordinary cosmic emperor-level treasure. It was clearly a top-tier treasure on the brink of entering the Star Lord level. Yi Chun had been the first to enter the third treasure cave, having never seen Hua Tianjue wield the wrath of the Celestial God, nor had he witnessed other masters' expressions change dramatically upon seeing it. But instinctively, Yi Chun knew the terror of this newly revealed treasure from Hua Tianjue. Almost in an instant, something appeared in Yi Chen's hand. A fist-sized, entirely crystal clear, incredibly sparkling ice bead. Ancient origin ice bead. In this moment of crisis, Yi Chen directly took out the miraculous treasure, ancient origin ice bead, obtained from the front treasure cave. What, afraid? Seeing Yi Chen's expression change drastically and a new treasure taken out, Hua Tianjue sneered coldly. With wrath of the Celestial God in hand, Hua Tianjue already had absolute confidence that he could kill Yi Chun. He didn't care about the new ice bead Yi Chun took out. Sensing that this ice bead was just a cosmic emperor-level bead and wasn't stronger than his wrath of the Celestial God. It's already too late to be afraid. Yi Chun, I said I would kill you and refine you into a corpse, and I will definitely do it. However, before that, I want to perform a soul search on you, to see why this immortal divine venerable has so many treasures in hand. With a cold laugh, Hua Tianjue directly raised the divine whip-like treasure, Wrath of the Celestial God, ready to strike at Yi Chen. At this moment, something Hua Tianjue could never have foreseen happened. Hua Tianjue only saw a surge of power flow from Yi Chen's hand directly into the ice bead he had dismissed. In an instant, this ice bead erupted with an incredibly terrifying ice-sealing power. This ice-sealing power was even more terrifying than his Wrath of the Celestial God. This ice bead, clearly activated, possessed power far beyond his initial assessment. Upon sensing the ice bead's strength for the first time, Hua Tianjue's Wrath of the Celestial God, which was striking towards Yi Chen, was directly frozen, sealed in the void. To know that the furious green beast guarding outside the treasure cave couldn't even block the Wrath of the Celestial God. The ice bead could actually seal the Wrath of the Celestial God. This was simply enough to make Hua Tianjue gasp in shock. Finally realizing the endless extent of Yi Chen's treasures, far surpassing his imagination, Hua Tianjue only thought of escaping the ice-sealing power. But even though Hua Tianjue reacted quickly, before he could move, the peerless ice-sealing power of the ice bead completely engulfed him. Not only was Hua Tianjue's flame divine treasure sealed, turning back into a wisp of flame frozen in the void, even Hua Tianjue himself was utterly sealed within the treasure cave. What terrified Hua Tianjue even more was that this ice-sealing power could not only freeze him, but within it was an unmatched killing force that directly attacked him the moment he was frozen. BFF. Almost in the moment Hua Tianjue hadn't even reacted, his entire physical body, along with his divine soul, were killed right on the spot. Chapter 1176. Aftermath. This time, the top contender to breach the 13th Chaos Zone, Hua Tianjue, died just like that, died at the hands of Yi Chen. Within the entire third treasure cave, only Yi Chen remained. Yi Chen felt no sympathy for Hua Tianjue's death. Hua Tianjue wanted to kill him, so dying was only what he deserved. At this moment, Yi Chen looked at the mid-air in the treasure cave. Hua Tianjue hadn't chosen any treasure, and after his death, there were still two treasures in the air: the golden, glimmering lamp and the scroll emitting a green glow. However, Yi Chen only had one chance to pick a treasure, and he could only choose one. Yi Chen was not in a hurry to select a treasure. The tragic scene of Hongjue's death was still vivid in Yi Chen's mind. He intended to sense thoroughly first which treasure was more suitable for him. But before carefully sensing, Yi Chen felt a surge of emotion. Indeed, the path of cultivation is incredibly perilous. Out of 27 people attempting to breach the chaotic heavenly hall, 12 died before reaching the third heaven, leaving only 15. And of those 15, excluding Ning Xiaoxiao and Divine Master Yuan Feng, who left after picking a treasure in the second treasure cave, the remaining 10 chose to further explore the third treasure cave, resulting in nearly total annihilation. Yi Chen witnessed the deaths of many, except for Situ Chan and Yuan Qingzi, who weren't dead before he entered the third treasure cave. He saw the rest perish. Even Situ Chan and Yuan Qingzi's survival outside the treasure cave seemed improbable, as they failed to breach the cave, likely unable to contend with the green beast. 5 died on the path to the third treasure cave. Hua Tianjue and Hongjue died inside. Yuan Qingzi and Situ Chan are still unknown. In the treasure cave, only I remain. All for these few treasures ahead. Yi Chen looked at the 2 great divine treasures in the void, filled with emotion. Outside, chaos has surely ensued. Before entering the 13th Chaos Zone, each of us left a sensing token behind, and Lord Emperor Xian, who originally gathered us, can sense through it whether we died or not. While others' deaths might not alarm Lord Emperor Xian greatly, as he said before entering the 13th Chaos Zone, survival depends solely on us. Now, even the leader from the primordial god mountain, Hua Tianjue, is dead. Lord Emperor Xian will surely be shocked, as he himself is from the primordial god mountain. Yi Chen pondered for a while and shook his head. Never mind. The critical part now is choosing which treasure. Yichun carefully sensed the two treasures in the air, but neither offered any unusual sensation. Nor did they trigger the chaos cauldron like the absolute divine fire did previously. After observing for a while, Yichun had no choice but to sigh. Seems I have to randomly select a treasure. The treasures within the third treasure cave must be extraordinarily valuable. Although Hongjue died after holding the ancient plate, her furious enhancement in realm proves its value. Her death may not be due to the ancient plate but her own greed for rapid breakthroughs. After all, the ones who left these treasures are surely Star Lord level experts. If they wanted to kill us, they wouldn't need such effort, nor set traps in the treasures. With this in mind, Yichun felt a bit more at ease. Then, after reviewing both the golden lamp and glowing green scroll, Yichun made his choice. Yichun reached out towards the green glowing scroll. Simultaneously reaching for the scroll, Yichun wrapped himself in endless divine power for protection, just in case. Yet, to Yichun's surprise, the scroll effortlessly fell into his hand, without a hint of killing force attacking him. And when Yichun opened the scroll, he suddenly sensed an unmatched force emanating from it. This force was not the killing force he had been wary of, but rather an unexpected teleporting power. The green glowing scroll turned out to be a mysteriously profound ancient teleportation scroll. Boom! Instantly, Yichun was enveloped by the unmatched teleporting force. Even with his strong cosmic emperor-level defensive power, he couldn't resist the teleportation divine power. The terrifying teleportation force directly took Yichun, causing him to disappear from the third treasure cave. In the moment of disappearance, Yichun's mind and spirit contained only one thought. Where is this scroll going to take me? As Yichun disappeared from the third treasure cave, the golden lamp that hadn't been chosen also vanished. At this moment, apart from the deceased, no one was left exploring the chaotic heavenly hall. Seemingly sensing that there were no more people left to explore, the entire chaotic heavenly hall suddenly vanished. Outside the chaotic heavenly hall, Ning Xiaoxiao, Divine Master Yuan Feng, and the other 5 who chose to leave after taking treasures from the second treasure cave were dumbfounded, mouths agape. Initially, they were waiting outside to see if anyone else would emerge after exploring the chaotic heavenly hall. But now, Ning Xiaoxiao and the others were utterly caught off guard as the vast floating temple, chaotic heavenly hall, vanished. Even as the chaotic heavenly hall disappeared, the 27 light circles on the ground where they'd entered vanished as well. Chapter 1177. Aftermath, Part 2. The ancient stele explaining the chaotic heavenly hall has disappeared too. This unknown territory housing the chaotic heavenly hall is now completely empty. It's as if the chaotic heavenly hall never existed here. This situation caused the faces of Ning Xiaoxiao and the 4 divine masters of Yuan Feng to change drastically. They knew that of the 15 who managed to reach the third heavy heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall, besides the 5 of them who came out, 10 others were still exploring. Now that the chaotic heavenly hall has vanished, where have those 10 people gone? Have they perished within the chaotic heavenly hall, or disappeared along with it? Those 10, they were all elite figures.
Hua Tianzhu, Hon, Hongyu, Situchen, Yuan Qingzi, Yu Shandu, Ye Chen.
Thinking of each of these individuals, Ning Xiaoxiao and the others were utterly unsettled. If those people are still alive, still exploring the chaotic heavenly hall, it's impossible for the hall to disappear without a trace, especially since they were only at the third heavy heaven, with many more to explore. Could it be that they have all died, and no one is left to explore the chaotic heavenly hall, causing it to vanish? Thinking of this possibility, Ning Xiaoxiao felt her hands and feet turn cold. She found it hard to believe that such powerful beings as Hua Tianjue and Hongjue could have died. She found it even harder to believe that Yichun, whose talent was exponentially greater than hers, could be dead. As Ning Xiaoxiao's mind and spirit were in turmoil, one of the divine masters who also chose to leave the chaotic heavenly hall early lamented. This unknown territory is terrifying. Although the chaotic heavenly hall appearing in it brought us many treasures, only 5 of 27 explorers survived. If we hadn't chosen to leave, we'd probably be dead too. Another genius below the Dominion realm felt his scalp tingle. He thought of his journey exploring the 13th Chaos Zone, recalling how he ventured through the outer regions, the central regions, and finally entered this unknown place, reaching the third heavy heaven of the chaotic heavenly hall. Looking back, it was like he had passed through the ghost gate. Let's leave here quickly. The chaotic heavenly hall has vanished, and it's useless to remain. There are other territories in the 13th Chaos Zone we haven't explored fully. Let's go elsewhere. Still, when encountering unknown zones in the future, we mustn't risk entering again. Even knowing that not all unknown territories would have a terrifying shrine like the chaotic heavenly hall, with even super strong figures like Hua Tianjue and Hongjue dying, this genius no longer dared to recklessly venture into high-risk areas. Yes, let's go. The chaotic heavenly hall is gone, and we don't know where the others are. We cannot continue to waste time here. Divine Master Yuan Feng thought of his team members Yuan Qingzi and Yi Chan sighed and spoke as well. At last, the five of them, with mixed feelings, left the unknown territory and returned to the central region of the 13th Chaos Zone. But moments after exiting the colossal tree concealing the unknown zone into the central region of the 13th Chaos Zone, Ning Xiaoxiao and the four Divine Masters sensed a tremendous aura surging. This is the aura of a cosmic emperor. And not just one. Wasn't it said that only 30 teams from our batches were allowed to venture into the 13th Chaos Zone? Why have so many cosmic emperors suddenly appeared? Ning Xiaoxiao and the others immediately sensed something was amiss. Boom! 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 Just as the five sensed something wrong, they found the aura of numerous cosmic emperors locking onto them. Soon, they felt a terrifying force descend, appearing before them in an instant. There were 7 cosmic emperors in front of them. Among these 7 was Lord Emperor Xian from the primordial God Mountain, who gathered 30 teams to venture into the 13th Chaos Zone. Moreover, cosmic emperors from the Linglong Divine Land and other factions, including the Ancestral God Temple, were also present. The appearance of these 7 cosmic emperors alarmed Ning Xiaoxiao and her companions. Then, the words of Lord Emperor Xian plunged Ning Xiaoxiao and the others into despair. We heard that you 27 entered an unknown area's chaotic, heavenly hall. What happened in there? Why did you Shindu die? Why did Hua Tianjue, Hongjue, and Hongyu perish? The words of Lord Emperor Xian suggested they had already inquired about the chaotic heavenly hall, possibly leaked by those not selected to enter. His words further confirmed the demise of Hua Tianjue and others. Ning Xiaoxiao finally understood why so many cosmic emperors arrived. It must have been the deaths of many powerful figures and geniuses that alarmed them. Unbeknownst to Ning Xiaoxiao and the others, Emperor Xian and the cosmic emperors felt equally uneasy. Initially, they awaited the return of the 30 teams. However, seeing the increasing death toll made them anxious. When they sensed that even the superb genius Yushindu had fallen, Emperor Xian wanted to check the 13th Chaos Zone. Later, news of the death of Hongyu, Hongjue, and Hua Tianjue via their life tokens further shocked him, prompting him to notify other factions' emperors for a collective investigation. Cosmic emperors are supremely powerful. Upon arriving at the 13th Chaos Zone, they directly inquired about the remaining explorers and learned of Hua Tianjue and the others challenging the chaotic heavenly hall. All those deceased were participants in the chaotic heavenly hall venture. Evidently, their demise occurred during the chaotic heavenly hall incident. The cosmic emperors traced immediately to the loca of the chaotic heavenly hall. Surprisingly, they found themselves barred from entering the unknown territory of the chaotic heavenly hall and had to wait outside. Now, with the return of Ning Xiaoxiao and others, they were eager to know what transpired. Hearing Emperor Xian's inquiry, Divine Master Yuan Feng promptly recounted the happenings within the chaotic heavenly hall in detail, including their exploration of the 3 treasure caves. The others echoed his account, aligning with Divine Master Yuan Feng's recount. You say, of the 27 exploring the chaotic heavenly hall, 12 died in the first 2 heavies, with 15 reaching the 3rd heavy heaven? Then, after you 5 took treasure from the 2nd cave, you left while the other 10 continued? Did the chaotic heavenly hall eventually disappear? According to our sensing of fallen individuals via life tokens, Hua Tianjue, Hongjue, and the others truly perished, but 3 haven't fallen, Situ-chan, Yuan Qingzi, and Yi Chun. Didn't they exit the chaotic heavenly hall? Lord Emperor Xian's response startled Ning Xiaoxiao.
Ye Chen hasn't fallen.
Then why did the chaotic heavenly hall disappear? Where exactly has Yi Chun gone? What happened to seniors Situ-chan and Yuan Qingzi? How could they survive when Hua Tianjue perished? The upheaval in the 13th Chaos Zone and the arrival of the 7 Cosmic Emperors were unknown to Yi Chun. Moreover, Yi Chun was unaware that besides his survival, Situ-chan and Yuan Qingzi also remained alive. The 2 who failed to venture into the 3rd treasure cave and last battled the green beast surprisingly survived. Even Yi Chun did not know the current condition of Situ-chan and Yuan Qingzi, nor where they were taken after the chaotic heavenly hall vanished. At this moment, Yi Chun merely stared wide-eyed at the realm he was newly transported to. Chapter 1178, Sea of Exile. Yi Chun discovered that he was standing inside a giant palace. The walls of the giant palace were inscribed with countless strange patterns, which Yi Chun couldn't understand at all. However, just from the divine light emitted by these patterns, he could tell that they contained an unimaginable power. This power was even more terrifying than the universe-level power contained in the treasures he had used earlier. Could there be Star Lord-level power hidden within this giant palace? Yi Chun looked at the inner walls of the giant palace in shock. However, this terrifying power seemed to belong to the giant palace itself, hidden within the strange patterns, and Yi Chun couldn't mobilize it at all, not even to observe it closely. Where is this? Could it be the 4th layer of heaven in the chaotic heavenly hall? Yi Chun looked at the scroll that brought him here, unable to understand. At this moment, the scroll that had originally emitted a green glow had dimmed, as if transporting Yi Chun here had consumed a lot of energy, and it could not be used for the time being. I don't even know what kind of treasure this scroll is, or why it transported me out of the 3rd treasure cave of the 3rd layer in the chaotic heavenly hall. As Yi Chun pondered, he put the scroll away. While putting it away, Yi Chun seemed to sense something, and his heart suddenly jumped. In an instant, countless treasures appeared in his hand. These were treasures from the refining god chart, as well as treasures Yi Chun had obtained in the chaotic heavenly hall. But at this moment, these treasures seemed to have their spiritual light locked, unable to be used at all. Yi Chun even flipped his palm to reveal the universe-level life-saving scroll given by the ancestral god temple when he first entered the primal beginning universe. But now even this was locked and unusable. Yi Chun found that, in the refining god chart, only the non-primal beginning universe treasures used by the Cosmic Emperor before heading to the primal beginning universe were still usable. Simultaneously, among the treasures Yi Chun owned, only those that were not from the primal beginning universe could be used. This discovery greatly alarmed Yi Chun's mind and spirit. Yi Chun thought of a possibility. Could it be that I've been transported away from the primal beginning universe? Am I no longer in the chaotic heavenly hall? The primal beginning universe is a special universe where its treasures are exclusive and can only be used there. Now, all the treasures related to the primal beginning universe on Yi Chun were unusable, while other treasures remained unaffected. This could only mean one thing: Yi Chun was no longer in the primal beginning universe. Thinking of this possibility, Yi Chun could no longer remain calm. After all, Zhang Yao and Long Li were still in the primal beginning universe. Yi Chun originally planned to visit Zhang Yao and Long Li after exploring the chaotic heavenly hall. If he had indeed been transported out of the primal beginning universe, who knows when he might return? I need to find out where I am right now. Yi Chun searched for information within the giant palace, but found it empty, as if it was just a place of teleportation, without anything else. After meticulously searching, Yi Chun finally sensed a hidden spatial exit within the giant palace, and he flew directly towards it. In an instant, he flew out of the exit. Upon reaching the outside, Yi Chun found himself standing on a desolate island. The giant palace he had previously been in was now completely unsensible. When Yi Chun took out the teleport scroll again, he could sense the hidden space entrance with the help of the scroll. His form shifted, flying towards the entrance and returning to the giant palace once more. It seems that this scroll obtained from the third treasure cave of the third layer is indeed used for teleportation. It transported me to this giant palace, and even after leaving the palace, I can return with the help of it. However, I cannot find a way to return to the third layer of the chaotic heavenly hall. To understand why I was transported here, it seems I won't figure it out by staying inside the giant palace. I can only go outside to thoroughly investigate. With a shift in his mind and spirit, Yi-chun flew out of the palace space exit again, arriving back on the desolate island. At this time, numerous treasures from the primal beginning universe on Yi-chun were no longer usable, greatly reducing his reliance on items. However, Yi-chun had already broken through to the immortal divine venerable realm, and his combat power alone was enough to contend with powerful divine masters. Even without relying on treasures, Yi-chun was fearless across countless universes. Moreover, Yi-chun was not empty-handed. The refining god chart contained many treasures left behind by the cosmic emperor that were not from the primal beginning universe and were still usable, although fewer compared to the primal beginning universe treasures. But in critical moments, they were enough for Yi-chun to handle many crises. Upon arriving on the desolate island, Yi-chun swept out his divine sense, immediately covering the entire area of the island, extending beyond its borders. In an instant, Yi-chun clearly understood the situation on the island. He is currently located on a deserted island, where not a single living creature is found. This is a dead island. If Yi-chun didn't know that a mysterious giant hall was hidden on this dead island, he would have deemed this place an abandoned wasteland. Of course, right now, the deserted island couldn't provide Yi-chun with more information. The urgent task at hand is to go to a place where people exist and inquire about the situation of this region. Earlier during his exploration, Yi-chun had already discovered that the dead island was situated in a vast ocean, and despite Yi-chun's divine sense reaching its peak, he was unable to fully explore the ocean. Yi-chun's mind and spirit stirred, and instantly, his entire being transformed into a ray of divine light, flying towards the vast ocean beyond the deserted island. The more Yi-chun flew, the more astonished he became. The size of this ocean completely surpassed Yi-chun's imagination. It was simply infinitely vast. Bear in mind, with Yi-chun's current strength, flying over a star continent consumes little time. Yet now, after flying for several hours, he hasn't seen the boundaries of this ocean, which inevitably astounds Yi-chun greatly. During his flight, Yi-chun also spotted numerous deserted islands. Those deserted islands, resembling the one Yi-chun was previously teleported to, were devoid of any life upon sweeping with his divine sense, and they each were dead islands. After flying for several hours without any discoveries, others might have gone mad with fear, but Yi-chun's expression grew increasingly calm. No matter what, he would find out precisely what region he was currently in. No matter what, he would devise a way to leave this region and return to the primal beginning universe, to avoid Zhang Yao and Long Li anxiously worrying about his disappearance. During his flight, Yi-chun was evaluating the gains he had acquired in the primal beginning universe. After achieving a breakthrough in the primal beginning universe, Yi-chun's realm had stabilized at the immortal divine venerable level, with the next step being a leap towards the sovereign realm. The breakthroughs of Earth Divine Venerable, Heavenly Divine Venerable, and Immortal Divine Venerable further brought Yi-chun three immensely powerful Heaven-Earth innate divine methods: Stellar Terrestrial Spin, Chaotic Heavenly Divine Light, and Immortal Spirit Seed. The Stellar Terrestrial Spin could bring Yi-chun a significant amplification of combat power. Although Yi-chun hadn't fully cultivated the Stellar Terrestrial Spin's combat power amplification to its peak, it had already reached a fourfold increase in combat power, allowing Yi-chun to solely rely on his own combat power at the Divine Venerable Realm to contend against mighty divine masters. The Chaotic Heavenly Divine Light granted Yi-chun formidable recovery ability, quickly restoring combat power depletion. Although Yi-chun had just begun cultivating, it already provided Yi-chun with incredible benefits. The Immortal Spirit Seed was truly a life-saving divine method. Yi-chun had been exploring in the Chaotic Heavenly Hall earlier and hadn't had the chance to properly cultivate it, necessitating focused cultivation thereafter. Besides these three life-saving divine skills, Yi Chen's other techniques like Heavenly Sword Divine Art, Great Sun Pitha Divine Sound, Eternal God Body, Heavenly Forbidden Flame, Spatial Rift, etc., when activated under the combat power amplification methods of stellar terrestrial spin, were enough to make Yi Chen stand proud across numerous universes, no longer fearing sovereign-level figures, and not even feeling intimidated by divine master-level individuals. Even against overlord-level cosmic emperor-level figures, Yi Chen solely relying on his own combat power might fall short, but he possessed many treasures to counter them. Moreover, this isn't the primal beginning universe. Yi Chen hasn't broken through to the divine master realm and cannot currently enter the cosmic sea from the outside. The region he is in now may simply be a common universe, without numerous strong figures. Seek information about this region and simultaneously cultivate various techniques. Also, utilize the three profound transformations: change of devouring fire, wind swallowing transformation, and water absorption transformation. I comprehended in the chaotic heavenly hall to enhance the power of my three great divine powers: fire, wind, and water. Most importantly, further cultivate the Taiyu chapter to accumulate more origin star apertures, striving to complete the 6th chapter of the primordial star scripture early and step into the cultivation of the 7th chapter. As Yi Chen was flying and contemplating, suddenly, in the next moment, he abruptly halted his motion in the void. At the instance when Yi Chen halted his motion, abruptly, a gigantic tentacle shot out from the ocean below him at incredible speed, aiming to strike Yi Chen. Sensing the terrifying attack approaching, Yi Chen wasn't frightened but delighted. Finally I discovered a living creature. Bang! Facing the formidable tentacle shooting towards him, Yi Chen thrust his hand downward with a sudden grasp. Instantly, a gigantic hand even larger than the tentacle formed directly in the void, seizing downward into the ocean with unrivaled force. With a thunderous boom, Yi Chen directly pulled out a colossal sea beast, thousands of zhang in size, from the ocean. This was a sea beast resembling a sea lion and had reached a realm equivalent to 8 stars sovereign level, possessing a spiritual intelligence more formidable than many humans. It ruled over a region, and this time specially came to this sea area for cultivation. Initially, seeing an immortal divine venerable flying through the void, it intended to swallow this immortal divine venerable to replenish its energy, but unexpectedly, the immortal divine venerable's mere action exceeded its imagination, directly capturing it from its cultivation domain. At that moment, the sea beast knew that the human in front of it was a superpower. The sea beast emitted a human voice, pleading for its life to Yi Chen. "Senior, spare my life. Little demon disturbed Senior. I beg Senior to show mercy." Yi Chen looked at the 8 stars sovereign sea beast trembling with fear before him, continuously kowtowing and pleading, and asked calmly, "Tell me, what is the name of this boundless ocean, and how far is it from the primal beginning universe? Answer properly, and if I'm satisfied, I will allow you to leave." "Senior doesn't know the Sea of Exile?" The sea beast was shocked upon hearing Yi Chen's question. Could it be that Senior is not from the Sea of Exile, but accidentally entered the Sea of Exile from elsewhere?
Chapter 1179. Outer Sea, Inner Sea, Ebis.
Sea of Exile? Yi Chen's gaze flickered as he pondered slightly. The sea beast could tell by now that Yi Chen was not a native of the Sea of Exile. It dared not ask Yi Chen many questions and directly revealed everything it knew. "Senior, this Sea of Exile is indeed exceptionally unique, as it lies at the junction of countless parts of the universe and the cosmic sea South Pole region, making it a special cosmic realm." The sea beast's first words immediately sent shock waves through Yi Chen's mind. This place was indeed outside the cosmic sea South Pole region. Heavens! Just how far had he been teleported from the primal beginning universe? Yi Chen knew well that the entire cosmic sea is divided into the East Extreme region, the West Pole realm, the Southern Polar region, the North Pole realm, and the Central Cosmic Origin Sea realm. Yi Chen had originally joined the forces of the Ancestral God Temple in the East Extreme region, and the Cosmic Emperor he once slew came from the West Pole realm. Yi Chen hadn't expected this at all. Now, he somehow found himself entangled with the cosmic sea South Pole region. though he hadn't yet entered the cosmic sea. This Sea of Exile was much closer to the cosmic sea South Pole region than countless other cosmic realms. It seems that returning to the primal beginning universe won't be that easy, Yichun thought to himself. At this time, the sea beast began to talk about the specifics of the Sea of Exile. The primal beginning universe you said, Senior, I've never heard of, for I was born locally and have never ventured beyond the boundaries of the Sea of Exile. However, regarding the entire Sea of Exile, I know quite a bit. Let me explain to you in detail, Senior. The sea beast observed Yi Chen's earnest listening and respectfully said, Senior, the entire Sea of Exile is divided into 3 major areas: Outer Sea, Inner Sea, and Abyss. We are currently located in the Outer Sea boundary. Of course, the Outer Sea area is already immensely vast. It is said to contain endless large-scale spatial rules. Without an Outer Sea chart, it's hard to navigate out of this Outer Sea region. Those who dwell in the Outer Sea are mostly native to the Sea of Exile. Upon hearing this, Yichun raised an eyebrow and directly asked the sea beast, What is the strength of these Outer Sea creatures? You are at the 8-star sovereign realm. You should be quite powerful in this Outer Sea, correct? The attack Yichun had endured from the sea beast earlier made him understand. This sea beast was very arrogant, clearly strong in this region, otherwise, it wouldn't have dared such bold actions. The sea beast replied, You're right, Senior. While the Outer Sea is vast, it simply can't compare with the Inner Sea and Abyss. In this Outer Sea, aside from the 3 great sea demons at key junctures towards the Inner Sea who are Divine Master-level experts, others are below Divine Master realm. The Inner Sea, however, is entirely different. There, not only are there countless native creatures of various realms, but also innumerable outsiders within that area, including many Divine Masters, and even Cosmic Emperor-level figures. The sea beast's words made Yi Chen's eyes flash. There are so many mighty beings in the Sea of Exile? Why don't these powerhouses directly head to the Cosmic Sea? The sea beast hurriedly answered, Senior, you may not know. Most of the outsiders in the Inner Sea originally came from the Cosmic Sea. This Sea of Exile is named as such because it is an exiled place from the Cosmic Sea. It's said that those who commit grave crimes with some influence are exiled here by numerous forces from the Cosmic Sea, once they can no longer remain there. Coupled with the special nature of the Sea of Exile, possessing countless curious places to adventure, those powerhouses are willing to cultivate and explore here, leading to the growing number of strong beings in the Sea of Exile. Moreover, due to many powerhouses being originally banished, inherently vicious, the Inner Sea is nowhere near as tranquil as the Outer Sea. Killings in the Inner Sea outnumber the Outer Sea countless times, offering both countless opportunities and endless dangers. Perhaps a person of low realm could be valued by a Divine Master Overlord or even a Cosmic Emperor and be imparted divine skills. Yet perhaps, even a Master or Cosmic Emperor might die amidst the Inner Sea's carnage. Yichun looked out to the vast ocean. He hadn't expected that the Outer Sea of the Sea of Exile was relatively the safer part. The Inner Sea was indeed more perilous, seemingly even more dangerous than the primal beginning universe. After all, most of the primal beginning universe consisted of talents from various universes or the Cosmic Sea coming to train. Unlike the Sea of Exile, which is populated with countless exiled criminals. What about the Abyss? Yichun asked the sea beast, looking directly at it. What's extraordinary about this third place? Upon hearing Yichun mention the Abyss, the sea beast revealed a longing expression. Senior, the Abyss is even more mysterious and frightening than the Inner Sea, and it harbors even more possibilities. The Abyss lies deeper within the Inner Sea. Many strong beings from the Cosmic Sea exiled to the Inner Sea remain due to its connection with the Abyss. According to rumors, the Abyss contains countless creations, and it's even said that Star Lords have ventured into it before. However, reportedly, no one has ever fully explored the Abyss. It is a land of infinite mysteries. Within the Abyss, there are unimaginably terrifying demons, and even Star Lord-level beings exist there. The words of the sea beast sent shivers through Yi Chen's mind and spirit. The Abyss region of the Sea of Exile actually harbors Star-Lord-level beings and has been explored by many Star-Lords. The universe is indeed infinitely mysterious. There are countless places of great secrets. This Sea of Exile is clearly extraordinary. A thought flashed through Yi Chen's mind. I was teleported to this area of the Sea of Exile. Could it be that this Sea of Exile is somehow related to the great power holder who left behind the chaotic heavenly hall? Otherwise, why would he leave a teleportation scroll directing here? After some thought, Yi Chen looked at the sea beast and said, "You mentioned earlier that one must have a sea chart to navigate the outer sea. Do you have a chart of this area? Also, how does one reach the inner sea and the abyss? In the outer sea, there are only 3 Divine Master-level sea demons. The rest are below Divine Master realm." Yi Chen wasn't interested in wasting much time in the outer sea. The real task was to visit the perilous and bustling inner sea and the mysterious and terrifying abyss. Perhaps there, a way to reach the primal beginning universe could be found. I have the sea chart here. The sea beast directly took out a storage bag from its body, presented it with both hands to Yi Chen. Senior, the storage bag contains not only the sea chart, but also some treasures collected by the little demon over the years and some currency used for passage in the Sea of Exile. Although, with your divine skills, these trivial things are beneath your notice, but in view of the little demon's sincerity, please do accept them. The sea beast hadn't forgotten its previous actions against Yi Chen. It wanted to appease Yi Chen at all times to avoid inciting any murderous intent towards it. You do have a heart. Seeing the sea beast's respectful demeanor, Yi Chen nodded, opened his hand and directly absorbed the storage bag into his hand. After inspecting the contents inside, Yi Chen didn't say much, and directly took out the sea chart from the storage bag, examining it closely. Seeing Yi Chen accept the storage bag, the sea beast was overjoyed, and it continued to speak to Yi Chen. You were asking how to reach the inner sea and the abyss. Here's how it is. To travel from the outer sea to the inner sea, there are only 3 teleportation formations available. Those 3 teleportation formations are controlled by the 3 Divine Master-level sea demons I mentioned earlier. Those 3 sea demons are the overlords of the outer sea, and each calls themselves Ancient Ancestor. They are named Ancestor Wutian, Element-Stripping Ancestor, and 9 Bells Ancestor, respectively. In the sea chart, the territories occupied by the 3 sea demons are marked. With your strength, it is easy to make the 3 elders allow passage to the inner sea. Yi Chen looked at the sea chart. Indeed, the locations occupied by the 3 sea demons were marked on the sea chart. Having understood many things, Yi Chen gained some insight into this newly arrived region of the Sea of Exile. All right, I will ask you a few more questions, and then I may spare your life. Yi Chen once more posed inquiries to the sea beast. Then, with a flick of his sleeve, Yi Chen disappeared from this sea region. It wasn't until Yi Chen completely vanished that this 8 stars sovereign realm-level sea beast breathed a long sigh of relief, finally letting go of its anxious heart. It knew that its life was finally spared this time. Where on earth does this senior come from within the Sea of Exile? One must know, if he were one of those banished from the cosmic sea to the Sea of Exile, he would have already known all about it long before being banished. Is it possible that he really strayed into the Sea of Exile from other realms? It is said that the scariest ones in the Sea of Exile are those who stray into it. Aren't those people who might have come from other great mysterious places to the Sea of Exile the ones who later made illustrious names for themselves, even more fortunate than those exiled from the cosmic sea? Just where does this senior originate from? The sea beast watched Yi Chen's disappearing figure, completely puzzled. Yet it knew that this seemingly extremely young senior gave a feeling even more terrifying than that of the 3 elder Divine Master realm figures guarding the outer sea. This young senior likely has the ability to kill those 3 elders. Chapter 1180, Wutian City. The sea beast was in shock, and only after Yi Chen had been gone for a long time did it sink back into the sea. At this moment, Yi Chen was already flying over the ocean for tens of millions of miles. With the Sea of Exile map, Yi Chen finally had a clear direction. Now, the direction in which he was heading was exactly towards Wutian City, where Ancestor Wutian, one of the three major overlords of the Outer Sea, resided. Yichun was no longer flying by himself. Instead, he directly deployed a polar sky-level flying boat, letting it head straight towards Wutian City. On the flying boat, Yichun was contemplating. Even though seen through the eyes of the sea beast, Yichun's strength had already surpassed the three divine master-level overlords of the Outer Sea. Yichun would not be careless in this chaotic sea of exile. My own strength indeed doesn't fear a divine master. Moreover, with the treasures in my hands, I wouldn't even fear some masters and cosmic emperors. However, currently, I have far fewer treasures at my disposal. Using the divine power inside them even once will deplete some of it. I must conserve them. Unless necessary, I cannot recklessly make enemies. The sea beast had mentioned that within the Sea of Exile, masters, cosmic emperors, and even star lords exist. In such a situation, Yichun certainly didn't want to draw too much attention, even though there are only three divine masters in the Outer Sea. However, these three can guard the Outer Sea, and there are likely significant figures backing them, so it's necessary to be cautious. The urgent task now is to enhance my various strengths. Whether it's the divine method or the realm, both need further improvement. Apart from needing to advance all major methods further, breaking through from the divine venerable realm to the sovereign realm is the key task. With so many strong individuals in the Sea of Exile, there must be opportunities to elevate my realm. I must seize them. Perhaps by the time I leave the Sea of Exile, I will already be a sovereign or even a divine master. Yichun's eyes shone with determination. The second task is to find a way to return to the primal beginning universe from the Sea of Exile. However, this might not be something that can be discovered in a short amount of time and can only be approached step by step. Even if I cannot directly reach the primal beginning universe from the Sea of Exile, I will break through to the divine master realm here, enter the cosmic sea, and find a way to the primal beginning universe from there. However, Yichun also knew that this method of first breaking through to the divine master realm, going to the cosmic sea, and then to the primal beginning universe would probably take a very long time, in which case Zhang Yao and Longli might have already left the primal beginning universe. I can only take one step at a time. First, I should explore this Sea of Exile thoroughly. For a moment, Yichun's mind spun with myriad thoughts. Once he had many plans in mind, Yichun calmed his mind and began directly sensing the spatial star aperture of the Sea of Exile. The Taiyu chapter of the primordial star scripture can sense the spatial star apertures of countless realms, imprint the origin star aperture internally, and enhance the combat power of the Taiyu chapter. This new realm, of course, can further cultivate the Taiyu chapter. With this sensing, Yichun immediately discovered that the outer sea of the Sea of Exile was a complete realm. As the spatial star aperture began imprinting the origin star aperture internally, the power of Yichun's origin star aperture began to further enhance. However, the outer sea of the Sea of Exile obviously cannot compare to mysterious places like the chaotic heavenly hall. Back then, in the chaotic heavenly hall, Yichun not only completed the cultivation of the first extreme of the origin star aperture power, but also mastered the secret technique, spatial rift. In succeeding layers of the chaotic heavenly hall, Yichun even cultivated a third of the power of the second plane of the origin star aperture. Yet, in the outer sea of the Sea of Exile, the power of the origin star aperture was only enhanced by less than 1/10, far less than the enhancement obtained back in the chaotic heavenly hall. Judging by this, to complete the cultivation of the second plane of the origin star aperture will probably take a considerable amount of time. The primordial star scripture requires me to cultivate the origin star aperture, to at least the 8th extreme to activate the 7th layer of the star's tower and acquire the final 7th chapter of the cultivation technique. It seems I can only hope for the more mysterious inner sea and abyss of the Sea of Exile to enhance the power of my origin star aperture. Having completed the comprehension of the spatial star aperture of the outer sea of the Sea of Exile, Yichun realized that there was still an endless distance to Wutian City. Indeed, this Sea of Exile was enormously vast. Without the map, Yichun might have believed it to be an endless space. Yichun wouldn't waste the remaining time either. He continued cultivating and enhancing his other abilities. Thus, alternating between cultivation and travel, this went on for 7 to 8 days. As he neared Wutian City, the number of humans and demons he encountered increased. Islands where humans gathered appeared on the outer sea of the Sea of Exile. These so-called islands, by area, were in fact even larger than ordinary star continents in the universe, with the population ranging from tens of billions to hundreds of billions, or even trillions. Of course, most of them were mortals or cultivators of low realms, with the highest realms being no more than divine venerable or sovereign levels. Yi Chun did not sense even one strong individual at the divine master realm. As the sea beast had said, in the outer sea only 3 divine masters were here, while others were below the divine master realm. Of course, besides islands where humans gathered, there were also numerous islands inhabited by demons. Inside, the highest realm among the great demons is also just the sovereign realm. Although Yi Chen's realm is still that of an immortal divine venerable, his strength has long surpassed these human and demon beast powerhouses. Under deliberate concealment, as he flew over the countless islands, not a single human or demon could detect him. On the way, Yi Chun saw one team after another, ranging from dozens to hundreds, or even thousands to tens of thousands, all moving in one direction. There were also solitary demons, spreading their wings and flying towards the same direction. The direction they were heading towards was exactly the location of Wutian City, occupied by Ancestor Wutian. Wutian City, one of the 3 major cities in the outer sea of the Sea of Exile, is also one of the 3 channels leading to the inner sea. Naturally, countless people would go there. As more and more teams advanced, Yi Chun looked at the sea chart in his hand. He knew that Wutian City was finally near, after traveling like this for another 2 days. In the distance, Yi Chun saw a gigantic island, like a black star, appearing ahead. The island was incomparably large, and endless divine light occasionally projected from it. Wutian City. This was indeed Wutian City, one of the 3 major islands in the outer sea. Many teams heading towards Wutian City let out cries of surprise when they saw this giant island city. Evidently, after a long journey, reaching their destination made them very excited. At this moment, Yi Chun squinted his eyes and silently put away his flying boat. His figure flashed, directly blending into the crowds of teams heading towards Wutian City. Simultaneously, Yi Chen's divine sense began to cover the entire Wutian City. Yi Chen's divine sense was already incomparably powerful. Having cultivated the primordial star scripture and various divine methods, his divine sense had long surpassed those of the same realm. At this moment, Yi Chen's divine sense was no less than that of a divine master. Of course, if a divine master's divine sense were to investigate Wutian City, it would easily alert Ancestor Wutian. But after Yi Chun reinforced his divine sense with the stellar terrestrial spin divine method, it suddenly increased by several folds in might, almost reaching the extreme level of a divine master. In an instant, Yi Chen's divine sense covered every corner above and below Wutian City. In this investigation, Yi Chun slightly exclaimed in his heart. He unexpectedly discovered that within the territory of Wutian City ahead, there were 2 divine master entities. One of them was hiding in a cave mansion deep within Wutian City, a brown-robed elder of the 6th-level divine master realm. Judging by his appearance, it was clear this person was the Ancestor Wutian mentioned by the sea beast before. The other person was a slightly plump, middle-aged man, at this moment hiding in a void outside Wutian City, also observing Wutian City. This person was a 5th-level divine master. Furthermore, this person was different from the other 2 divine masters described by the sea beast in the outer sea of the Sea of Exile. He did not resemble the element-stripping ancestor or the 9 bells ancestor. Could it be that another divine master from elsewhere has also come to Wutian City? However, isn't it said that there are only 3 divine masters in the outer sea of the Sea of Exile? Where did this 4th divine master come from? Yi Chun pondered in his heart. As Yi Chun scanned the 2 divine masters with his divine sense, the one hiding in the void did not react at all, evidently unaware of Yi Chen's investigation. But the Ancestor Wutian hiding in the deepest cave mansion of Wutian City suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of apprehension, as if he was being probed. This feeling made Ancestor Wutian, who was originally immersed in cultivation, suddenly become alert, and he abruptly opened his eyes. Boom! Ancestor Wutian's divine sense immediately surged towards the surroundings of Wutian City. He instantly discovered the fifth-level divine master hidden outside Wutian City. Following that, Ancestor Wutian's figure flashed and disappeared from the cave mansion. The next moment, he was already above the void heaven of Wutian City. Ancestor Wutian directly looked towards the direction where the fifth-level divine master was hidden and snorted coldly. My friend, skulking outside my Wutian City, probing me and my city, what is your purpose? The might of a sixth-level divine master was astonishing. Ancestor Wutian's shout was like thunder resounding, alarming not only the entire Wutian City, but also the countless groups heading towards Wutian City outside. Oh my god! It's Ancestor Wutian. We've been to Wutian City so many times, but we've never seen Ancestor Wutian. This time he actually appeared directly. Who is the ancestor speaking to? Numerous people looked up at Ancestor Wutian in the void, eyes filled with admiration and reverence. At this moment, the slightly plump, middle-aged divine master hiding in the void was also somewhat surprised after being questioned by Ancestor Wutian. He didn't expect that while he was cautiously probing Wutian City, he would be discovered by Ancestor Wutian. However, he seemed to have thought of something, and he wasn't the least bit afraid. After letting out a small laugh, he tore open the space, revealing his form.